Chapter 1889. Human Immortal. A realm that surpassed Sage Perfection realm. Due to the existence of the plane barrier, everyone's cultivation level in the Immortal Spirit realm was suppressed to peak Sage Perfection realm. Even if they had the origin energy, they could only raise their cultivation level to Sage Perfection realm. One had to know that these warriors who had descended from the higher planes, such as Li Weilong and Gong Yangqing, had already reached the human immortal realm or even surpassed it. Once the plane barrier of the immortal spirit realm loosened, these people would be able to display the strength of a human immortal without relying on the origin energy. How terrifying would that be? A strong sense of danger rose in Ning Yu's heart. Although he had advanced to peak Sage Perfection realm and his overall combat strength could match a Sage Perfection realm cultivator, which was a half-step human immortal. But if he met a real human immortal, he could only regret it. How are your internal injuries? Ning Yu took a deep breath and temporarily suppressed the worries in his heart. He looked at Ning Lu and asked, "When will my cultivation recover to its peak state?" Ning Yu was very anxious. In the distance, the human demon and the little Chelene were fighting fiercely. Although they had an absolute advantage on the battlefield, their opponent was a powerhouse from a higher plane. Who knew if they had any trump cards? It would be fine if they did not have trump cards. Once they did, the human demon and the others would be the ones to lose. Ning Yu's thoughts were simple. As long as Ning Lu was fine, he would immediately go over to help. I am at my peak state now. Ning Lu smiled faintly. Then, he suddenly released his aura. Boom! With Ning Lu as the center, a terrifying aura shot into the sky. My origin energy. Feeling the aura from Ning Lu, Ning Yu's mouth opened slightly. He was a little stunned. The origin energy he had given Ning Lu was limited, only about half. Forget about half of it, even if Ning Lu was given a few times more origin energy, Ning Lu would not be able to be like this. Peak Sage Perfection realm. Ning Lu's cultivation level was the same as his. They had also advanced to peak Sage Perfection realm. At first, Ning Yu thought that it was very fast for him to advance from mid-stage Sage Perfection realm to peak Sage Perfection realm in 3 minutes. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, Ning Lu's cultivation level broke through again and again, advancing from the early stage of the Saint realm to the peak of the Saint realm. This was really comparing people to people. No, it should be comparing people to trees. It was infuriating. I told you, I've awakened the memories in my body. Ning Lu said, my main body is the world tree, the most terrifying tree in this world. Every time I awaken my memories, my strength will skyrocket. This time, the source energy you gave me happened to awaken my memories, so my cultivation advanced from the early stage of the Saint realm to the peak of the Saint realm. You don't need to make a fuss about this. As long as you can get me a large amount of origin energy, I can even attain human immortal status in the immortal spirit realm. As he spoke, Ning Lu's figure flashed, and he joined the battlefield on the other side. Looking at Ning Lu's departing figure, Ning Yu's expression became extremely grave. In his previous life, he was only a Sky Supreme, a long way from becoming a sage. Human immortals were even more unimaginable. After being reborn, not only did he ascend to the peak of the sage realm, he could even peek into the secrets of the worldly immortals. This meant that he had a huge fortuitous encounter. However, Ning Yu was not complacent. On the contrary, he was very careful. The appearance of the Great Tao put the immortal spirit realm at the heart of the struggle. In the following period of time, the celestial spirit realm would become the most bustling of all the lower realms. Ning Yu could predict that the lower realms around the immortal spirit realm would definitely send people over. And the powerful experts and top sects of the higher realms would all send their experts down to snatch the fortuitous encounters. After all, the temptation of the Great Tao was too great. Thinking of this, Ning Yu took a deep breath, and his expression became more and more grave. At the mention of the Great Tao, he finally reacted. No wonder there was a gap when he was devouring Gong Yangqing's memories. At that time, he could not understand it. Now that he thought about it, that gap must have something to do with the Great Tao, but it had been erased by the powerful experts. Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu leaped up and followed Ning Lu, joining the battlefield on the other side. The matter of the Great Tao would not be leaked for the time being. At most, only a few of the top experts would know. The most important thing now was to help Human Demon and the others get rid of the trouble in front of them. Rumble. The battle in the air was unusually intense. Before Ning Yu and Ning Lu had joined the battle, Human Demon and the others had the absolute advantage. Now that they had joined the battle, the scales of victory were completely tilted towards Human Demon and the others. Retreat. The 4 peak sage experts fighting with Human Demon and the others were not fools. They had clearly seen the scene of Li Weilong's death. Now that 2 more people had joined the battle, if they stayed, they would probably not be any better off than Li Weilong. Rather than stay and die, they might as well leave. As the saying went, where there is life, there is hope. Do you think you can escape? With the addition of Ning Yu and Ning Lu, Human Demon felt very relaxed. Because Ning Lu and Ning Yu's main targets were the instigated martial artists in the Alchemy Emperor Square. In other words, he was finally free. In the next moment, Human Demon's hands tore through the void and directly drilled into it. When Human Demon came out again, he was already in front of one of the peak sage experts. Die. Human Demon clenched his right fist and suddenly punched out. Human Demon's punch seemed ordinary and calm, but in fact, it contained a terrifying law power. No. Seeing Human Demon's fist coming toward him, the peak sage expert's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly tried to use his trump card to deal with it. Poochie. However, if he wanted to use his trump card, he would need at least a few minutes. Human Demon's attack was fast, so how could he give him time to use his trump card? Therefore, before he could use his trump card, he was smashed into pieces by Human Demon's punch. Whoosh! The death of this peak sage expert caused the other 3 peak sage experts' expressions to change drastically. If Human Demon could kill a martial artist of the same cultivation level as them with 1 punch, he could also kill them with 1 punch. Let's split up and run. Every one of us who can escape counts. The 3 of them looked at each other, then forced Wu Potian and the others to retreat and flew in 3 different directions. Human Demon coldly snorted when he saw the 3 martial artists running away. Then, he chased after the martial artists in the east. Swoosh! Swoosh! Not long after Human Demon rushed out, 2 more figures dashed out of the square. Needless to say, these 2 martial artists were Ning Yu and Ning Lu. There were 3 peak sage experts in total. Human Demon would deal with 1, and the remaining 2 would naturally be dealt with by the strongest martial artists present. Chapter 1890. Rustle. As the saying goes, when the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. Li Weilong's death and the escape of several Pinnacle Saint Realm cultivators had caused the entire Pill Emperor Plaza to fall into silence. Origin energy was precious, but one had to be alive to obtain it. If the hearts of the people were scattered, it would be extremely difficult to gather them again. The cultivators in the Pill Emperor Plaza all had different thoughts in their hearts. Some wanted to continue attacking, some wanted to fish in troubled waters, and some even wanted to leave early. PFFFT. However, when Wu Potian attacked and killed a few cultivators who were trying to escape, all the cultivators' expressions changed drastically. Although the 3 strongest cultivators had left, the ones that remained were also powerful. For example, Wu Potian was the strongest in the martial domain. The Divine War Crane was the strongest in the Battle God domain. Even Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an were amongst the top in the Sky Demon domain. If they wanted to escape, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens. Who knows, Ningyu and the rest might be killed. A heavenly sovereign coldly snorted in the Pill Emperor Plaza. Right now, if they wanted to live, their only hope was to see Ningyu and the Human Demon being killed. This was the only way for them to escape in the chaos. Otherwise, when Ningyu returned, they wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Although Ningyu wouldn't kill all of them, it was unavoidable for them to suffer a little. Ningyu had no idea about what was happening in the Pill Emperor Plaza. But even if he knew, he couldn't care about it right now. He, Ning Lu, and the Human Demon joined hands to chase after the 3 Pinnacle Saint Realm cultivators. In the beginning, they were getting closer to the 3 Pinnacle Saint Realm cultivators. But as time passed, The distance between them and the three pinnacle Saint Realm cultivators grew further and further. Damn it! After chasing for roughly an hour, Ningyu and the human demon stopped in the sky. The human demon's face was unsightly. He initially thought that he could kill the other party, but the other party's speed was too fast. It was so fast that he couldn't even react in time. Let's return. A brief moment later, the human demon sighed and wanted to return to the Pill Emperor city. No need, I found them. Ninglu pointed at the void in front of him and said, if I'm not wrong, the three of them are over there. Over there? Both Ningyu and the human demon were taken aback. The two of them had already unleashed their perception and were probing their surroundings. However, he did not find any traces of the three martial artists who had escaped. But Ninglu said that the three of them were there. How could Ningyu and human devil not be shocked? Just now, when I was chasing after that martial artist, I specifically remembered his aura. The corners of Ninglu's mouth curled up as he said, I wasn't too sure at first, but now I've discovered that there are three powerful auras in the void over there. Each of them has reached the peak of the Sage Realm. Ha ha ha. As soon as Ninglu's voice rang out, a wild laughter rang out from the void. Immediately after, the space Ninglu pointed at suddenly exploded, and three cultivators appeared from within. It really is you guys. Looking at the three cultivators who had suddenly appeared, the human demon's face was ashen. He said in a low voice, if you had insisted on running, I might not have been able to do anything to you. But now that you've come out on your own, don't blame me for being ruthless. As soon as the word ruthless fell, the human demon stomped on the ground and charged out. The human demon was very fast. In almost an instant, he had arrived in front of the three-peak Sage Realm martial artists. Swish, swish, swish. The human demon waved his hands and threw out three consecutive punches. Facing the three punches, the three-peak Sage Realm martial artists did not seem to be worried at all. Instead, they crossed their arms in front of their chests and looked at the human demon as if he was a joke. Retreat. For some reason, seeing the three-peak Sage Realm martial artists so confident, Ningyu felt that there was some kind of conspiracy going on. Crack. Just as expected. As soon as Ningyu's voice rang out, he heard a crisp crack. Without a doubt. This cracking sound came from the human demon's fist. Buzz. The void split again, and an old man in white slowly appeared in front of Ningyu and the rest. Hiss. Ningyu and the others gasped when they sensed the aura emanating from the old man in white. Human immortal. The old man in white's cultivation had surpassed the Sage Realm. He had reached the higher human immortal realm. Ningyu was very confused. Wasn't it said that due to the plane barrier, no human immortals would appear in the immortal spirit region? Why was the old man in white able to reach the human immortal realm? All sorts of questions arose in Ningyu's mind. But now, Ningyu did not have time to think about this. To him, the most important thing was not to find out why the old man in white could emit the aura of a human immortal, but to leave as soon as possible. After all, they did not have the confidence to fight against a human immortal realm expert. Go. Ningyu made a prompt decision. He grabbed the human demon's arm and flew into the distance. Go. Do you think you can leave? The old man in white smirked, then clenched his right hand into a fist and punched the air. Bang, bang, bang. It looked like the old man had only punched once, but that was not the case. In a short period of time, he had punched hundreds and thousands of times. Countless fist radiance landed on Ningyu and the human demon. The huge force from their bodies made it impossible for Ningyu and the human demon to move forward. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As soon as Ningyu and human demon stopped, the white-clothed old man and three warriors at the peak of the Sage Realm chased after them. Kneel down and kowtow to me a few times. Open your mind and let me control it. The old man did not kill Ningyu and the rest immediately. Instead, he said with a cold expression, otherwise, I will let you know the meaning of cruelty. Something's wrong. Hearing the old man's words, the human demon vaguely felt that something was wrong. Logically speaking, a worldly immortal stage expert would have an absolute advantage over a sage stage expert. Martial artists became Sage Realm and transcended to become immortals. Immortals and mortals were two completely different levels. If human immortals wanted to control Sage Realm martial artists, they didn't need to let them open their minds. They only needed to force them. Now, the white-robed old man's words made the human devil suspicious. Maybe the old man wasn't a human immortal, but a complete Sage Realm martial artist who only had a treasure that could hide from the heavens. Thinking of this, the human demon secretly gave Ning Yu and Ning Lu a look. How smart were Ning Yu and Ning Lu? Although it was just a glance from the human demon, they reacted immediately. Senior human demon, you go deal with the three-peak Sage Realm martial artists. Leave the old man to me and Ning Lu. Ning Yu carefully transmitted his voice to the human demon. Among the three of them, the human demon was the strongest. He should have been the one to deal with the old man. But the old man had ambushed him earlier, so he wasn't at his peak. Chapter 1891. Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. The white-clothed old man grunted coldly when he saw that Ning Yu and the others were unwilling to relax their minds for a long time, and he said in a ghastly voice, "Since all of you are so thick-headed, then I'll let all of you know what a true immortal is." As he spoke, the white-robed elder flicked his sleeves, and a crescent moon scimitar appeared in his hand. Slash. As the white-robed elder roared, the crescent moon scimitar suddenly slashed downwards. Whoosh. Wherever the crescent moon scimitar passed, the space was torn apart, and the primal chi scattered in all directions. A terrifying saber seal was formed, and it grew larger and larger as it slashed towards the human demon. Whoosh. Before the saber seal could reach the human demon stomped on the ground and instantly leaped out. According to the agreement, the human demon's opponents were three pinnacle sage martial artists, not the white-robed elder. Whoosh. Whoosh. As soon as the human demon rushed out, Ning Yu and Ning Lu hurriedly chased after him and took his place. Divine sword wave, sky-splitting, palm of fortune. Ning Yu did not hold back at all, and instantly used three sage-level martial techniques. The terrifying shockwaves that covered the sky and earth collided with the saber seal. However, the three sage-level martial techniques that Ning Yu used did not last long before they were dispersed by the saber seal. Fortunately, although Ning Yu's attack was dispersed, it greatly reduced the speed of the saber seal and dampened its sharpness. Open. After 3 moves, Ning Yu immediately retreated. Ning Lu opened his mouth and spat out a dark green branch. A dark golden branch. Before reaching the pinnacle sage level, the more dark golden branches Ning Lu formed, the stronger he would be. But now, he had already fused all the dark golden branches together, forming a dark golden branch. The dark golden branch that Ning Lu spat out was about the thickness of an arm, and it was more than 3 meters long. Ding! The saber seal and the dark golden branch collided. A crisp sound rang out, and then the saber seal dissipated on the spot, and the dark golden branch returned to Ning Lu's hand. What? The white-clad old man's expression changed drastically when he saw the saber seal he had cast dissipate. His trump card was the crescent blade in his hand. The saber seal that he had just slashed out had gathered almost all of his primordial chi. It could be said that if he did not use the full moon scimitar, his strength would drop by a huge level. Originally, he thought that after using the full moon scimitar, he would be able to instantly end the battle. Who would have thought that he would fail miserably in such an easy task? The saber seal that he had displayed had been forcefully blocked by 2 warriors at the peak of the sage realm. Poochie, Poochie, Poochie. While the white-robed old man was still in shock, the human demon on the other side was already showing off his might. The human devil held his breath. Although he had suffered a sneak attack from the white-robed old man, he was still the strongest person in this area apart from the white-robed old man. In order to kill 3 peak sages in a short time, the human demon decided to burn his blood essence and unleash a powerful attack. As it turned out, the human demon's decision was correct. In the face of his powerful attack, the 3 peak sage warriors were unable to withstand it and spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood. Die. The human demon's eyes were already bloodshot. After his attack succeeded, he immediately chased after them. By Feng, save me. The 3 peak sages cried out in unison when they saw the human demon charging towards them. However, Bai Feng was like a clay Buddha crossing a river. He could not even protect himself, so how could he have the time to help them? Crack, crack, crack. Almost in an instant, the human demon arrived in front of the three peak sage warriors. The human demon did not hold back at all. He directly threw out 3 punches, each one landing on the heart of a peak sage warrior. Almost in an instant, the hearts of the 3 peak sage warriors were pierced and they died on the spot. Poochie. Although he had killed 3 peak sage warriors, the human demon's situation was not optimistic either. The excessive consumption of primordial chi caused the human demon's face to turn pale and his aura to become extremely weak. The mountains will not change, and the rivers will continue to flow. We will meet again. On the other side of the battlefield, Bai Feng's face was gloomy. He immediately decided to leave this area. As the saying went, where there is life, there is hope. The primordial chi in his body was only enough for him to use the full moon scimitar once. If the full moon scimitar did not severely injure Ningyu and Ninglu this time, then he would face a calamity. When the immortal spirit realm is in complete chaos and the plane barrier is broken, it will be the time of your death. Before leaving, Bai Feng did not forget to leave behind some harsh words. When he was in a higher plane, his cultivation level was that of a human immortal. He had thought that he could do whatever he wanted in the immortal spirit realm, but he had miscalculated. The plane barrier of the immortal spirit realm was still very strong. With the restrictions of the plane barrier, he could at most display the battle strength of a sage great perfection, which was half a step into human immortal. This battle strength was not enough for him to dominate the immortal spirit realm. At the very least, the few warriors in front of him were not weaker than him. Waving his hands, Bai Feng tore through the void and entered. Ninglu, inject all the primordial chi in your body into my body. You must not let him escape. Seeing Bai Feng enter the void, Ningyu's expression changed and he immediately shouted at Ninglu. Ningyu knew how terrible the consequences would be if he let a human immortal expert escape. When the plane barrier was broken and the immortal spirit realm changed, it could be the day of his death. So now, Ningyu decided to use all his trump cards to kill Bai Feng. Through the battle just now, Ningyu had a rough idea of Bai Feng's true strength. Without the full moon scimitar, his strength should be about the same as Li Weilong's. Using the full moon scimitar, his strength was stronger than Gong Yangqing's. Now that the full moon scimitar could not be used for a second attack, it was the best time to kill him. If he missed this opportunity, there would not be another one. Open your mind. Ninglu was very decisive. He shouted and then transferred all the primordial chi in his body, including some of the essence of the world tree, into Ningyu's body. Wang Wang. With the increase of the primordial chi in his body, Ningyu's aura was rising at a terrifying speed. Ningyu's cultivation had reached the limit of the immortal spirit realm, the peak of the sage realm. But his strength was far from the limit. In ancient times, some peerless geniuses could even kill human immortals when they were at the peak of the sage realm. Some could even kill earth immortals when they were at the peak of the sage realm. Ningyu could only kill half-step human immortals when he was at the peak of the sage realm. There was still a lot of room for improvement. Crack, crack, crack. The essence of the world tree could refine one's body. Ningyu's body had been tempered by the blood of the true dragon and the blood of the Kirin, so it was unusually tough. Now that his body had been purified by the world tree, his body quality had more than doubled. Previously, Ningyu could only fight a half-step human immortal when he used all his trump cards. But after being tempered by the essence of the world tree, he only needed to rely on his physical strength to fight a half-step human immortal. Chapter 1892. Ninglu, go take care of the human demon. I'll be right back. Feeling the terrifying power coursing through his body, Ningyu's figure flashed. He tore open the void and entered. Ningyu only had one thought in his mind, and that was to kill Bai Feng. As for other matters, they could be put aside for now. The 3 peak sage martial artists had all been killed by the human demon, so this area was very safe. As for killing Bai Feng, neither Ninglu nor the human demon could help. Ningyu could only rely on himself. Buzz. When he was fighting with Bai Feng, Ningyu had already locked on to his aura. According to Ningyu's estimation, If Bai Feng did not increase his speed, he would be able to catch up with him in half an hour. Phew. In the void not far from Ningyu, Bai Feng looked back and let out a long sigh. To be honest, Bai Feng still had lingering fears. The full moon scimitar in his hand could not be used for a second strike in a short period of time, which greatly reduced his combat power. Even though he had the strength of a half-step human immortal, he did not dare to fight with Ningyu head-on. After all, this was the immortal spirit realm, and the plane barrier had not been completely broken. Without the strength of a human immortal, he was not confident that he could kill Ningyu. When I recover, it will be the time of your death. Bai Feng clenched his fists and kept the full moon scimitar in his robes. He then walked on leisurely. After all, in Bai Feng's opinion, Ningyu would never chase after him. Bai Feng was very confident about this. Bai Feng was already fantasizing about how to dominate the immortal spirit realm. Because when the plane barrier was broken, he would be able to use the strength of a human immortal. In a small place like the immortal spirit realm, if he could use the strength of a human immortal, how could he not dominate? Moreover, he had the full moon scimitar. With the full moon scimitar, he could even fight against an earth immortal with the cultivation of a human immortal. It seems that spending so much effort to bring the full moon scimitar here was the right choice. The corner of Bai Feng's lips curled up into a smile. He was very satisfied with his initial decision. Following that, time passed minute by minute. Drip, drip. Since he was certain that Ningyu wouldn't chase after him, Bai Feng was very relaxed and didn't panic at all. Under such circumstances, Ningyu would have needed half an hour to catch up with Bai Feng. In the end, it only took him 10 minutes. Not good. Bai Feng was indeed a peak-level expert. When Ningyu was 100 meters away from him, he reacted. Clenching his fists, Bai Feng punched out. Catcher. Bai Feng's punch was so powerful that it caused the void to crackle. Divine sword wave. In the face of Bai Feng's terrifying fist light, Ningyu was not afraid at all. He used his right hand as a sword and used the Supreme Nine Purities sword art on the spot. Ka. The sword wave and the fist light collided, instantly erupting a terrifying aura. A clear and crisp sound rang out as Bai Feng swiftly retreated a few hundred meters before coming to a stop. Fut. Although Bai Feng used the fist light to block Ningyu's divine sword wave, the aftermath of the divine sword wave still caused Bai Feng to spit out a mouthful of blood. Bai Feng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stared at Ningyu in front of him. He said coldly, "I didn't expect you to dare to chase after me. Why not?" Ningyu looked at Bai Feng coldly and said, "From the moment you decided to help those 3 pieces of trash, your fate has already been decided." "My fate has already been decided." Bai Feng pointed at his nose as if he had heard something unbelievable. He said sinisterly, "I'm afraid you've lost your mind. To deal with you, I only need to use the full moon scimitar once to easily kill you." As he spoke, Bai Feng took out the full moon scimitar. As expected, Ningyu's expression finally changed when he saw the full moon scimitar in Bai Feng's hand. His expression became extremely solemn. Ningyu had already witnessed the full moon scimitar's ability. Not long ago, Bai Feng had used the full moon scimitar to slash at him. At that time, if he and Ninglu had not used all their strength to block that slash, it would have been very difficult for them to block it. Now that Bai Feng had taken out the full moon scimitar, how could Ningyu not be solemn? However, although his expression was solemn, the current Ningyu was no longer the same as before. In terms of strength, the current Ningyu could easily kill the previous Ningyu. In other words, with Ningyu's current strength, it was not impossible for him to block the full moon scimitar. Who doesn't know how to brag? Thinking of this, Ningyu slightly adjusted his state of mind and said coldly, "Let's see who's the real deal." As soon as he said that, Ningyu instantly dashed out. Divine sword wave. Ningyu's first move was still the divine sword wave. The divine sword wave was the 12th move of the Supreme Nine Purities sword skill, and it was extremely powerful. In the past, when Ningyu used the divine sword wave, he could already kill people above his level. Now that he had successfully advanced to the peak of the Sage Realm and had been tempered by the World Tree, his strength had increased by more than a few times. Facing Ningyu's divine sword wave, even though Bai Feng was very arrogant, he did not dare to face it head-on. I still have some matters to attend to. See you later. Bai Feng's feet stepped on the ground and he immediately went into the void. Just now, in the face of Ning Yu's divine sword wave, Bai Feng had already been injured. Before he was injured, Bai Feng was very confident that he could block the divine sword wave, but now that he was injured, he naturally did not have much confidence. As long as there is life, there is hope. Bai Feng still knew this principle. However, seeing Bai Feng escape, Ning Yu waved his hands and once again performed two terrifying attacks. Netherworld Samsara Palm. Emperor God Technique. At this moment, Ning Yu's 3 sage-level martial skills were all performed. Bang! 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 Bai Feng only wanted to escape, so naturally, he would not stop to face Ning Yu head-on. However, facing the 3 attacks from Ning Yu, Bai Feng was unable to dodge. 3 consecutive sage-ranked martial techniques landed on Bai Feng's back in an unavoidable manner. 3 crisp sounds were heard. Then, Bai Feng spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood. Damn it! Since he knew that he could not escape, Bai Feng simply stopped. After cursing, Bai Feng took out a small jade bottle and swallowed the elixir in it on the spot. Buzz! As the elixir entered his stomach, Bai Feng's aura actually soared at an extremely terrifying speed. In just a few seconds, Bai Feng still recovered to his peak state. In other words, the current Bai Feng's combat strength was comparable to before. In fact, it was even slightly stronger. You have completely angered me. Chapter 1893. Bai Feng's change naturally fell into Ning Yu's eyes. If Ning Yu felt that he could easily defeat Bai Feng before, then he might have to use all his strength now. Even if he used all his strength, he might not be able to kill Bai Feng, because Bai Feng's current strength was extremely powerful. In terms of strength, Bai Feng was even more powerful than Gong Yangqing. There are many people who want to refine me into a puppet. I wonder who you are. Ning Yu took a deep breath and said with a solemn expression, after today, Bai Feng will no longer exist in this world. Ha ha ha. Bai Feng threw his head back and laughed wildly. As Bai Feng laughed wildly, his body suddenly disappeared and turned into a shadow, charging at Ning Yu. Bai Feng's first move did not use the full moon scimitar, but directly used his physical strength to attack Ning Yu. The elixir that Bai Feng swallowed was called the Berserk elixir. It was a little different from the ordinary Berserk elixir. The Berserk elixir that Bai Feng swallowed could temporarily increase his physical strength. Bai Feng's physical strength was originally at the human immortal level. After swallowing the Berserk elixir, his physical strength was already showing signs of breaking through to the earth immortal level. Therefore, Bai Feng did not use the full moon scimitar in his first move. Instead, he wanted to use his physical strength to kill Ning Yu. Good move. Seeing that Bai Feng wanted to use his physical strength to kill him, Ning Yu raised his eyebrows. The worry in his heart was slightly reduced. After being tempered by the World Tree, Ning Yu's current physical strength was not any weaker than a human immortal level expert. Ning Yu was not worried at all when facing Bai Feng's physical strength. On the contrary, he was a little excited. Because after this blow, he would at least be able to determine the level of his physical strength. Bang! In a flash, Ning Yu's fist collided with Bai Feng's fist. When the two fists collided, the earth-shattering aura did not happen. Instead, Ning Yu and Bai Feng both retreated. Impossible. Looking at Ning Yu, who had retreated a similar distance away from him, Bai Feng's mouth gaped open, his face filled with disbelief. He was very confident in his physical strength. Even in the higher planes, his physical strength was not weak. Now that he had swallowed the pills, his physical strength had reached a new peak, and there was a faint sign that he was heading towards the earthly immortal stage. But even so, he couldn't kill Ning Yu with just a punch of his physical strength. In fact, not to mention killing it, he didn't even have the slightest advantage. Nothing is impossible. Ning Yu's face was expressionless as he said indifferently. Ning Yu might look calm on the surface, but that was not the case. Right now, his heart was already surging with raging waves. He knew that his physical strength was very strong, but he didn't expect it to be this strong. When I advance to the half-step human immortal stage, I should be able to fight human immortal stage martial artists with just my physical strength. Ning Yu recalculated his strength. Previously, he thought that his overall strength was enough to fight against a half-step human immortal. But after this attack, he realized that he was wrong. With just his physical strength, he already had the ability to fight against a half-step human immortal. With his other trump cards, he could easily kill a half-step human immortal expert with his current strength. Of course, not all half-step human immortals could be killed. At the very least, he couldn't kill half-step human immortals who were stronger than Bai Feng. Again, Bai Feng's face was cold. After the first attack, he immediately followed up with a second attack. I'll fight you to the end. The corner of Ning Yu's mouth curled up slightly. He clenched his right fist and was about to meet Bai Feng's fist. However, just as Ning Yu was about to throw out a punch, he quickly retreated. He thought that Bai Feng would still use his physical strength for the second attack, but who would have thought that Bai Feng would take out the full moon scimitar halfway? At the same time, Bai Feng channeled all his primordial qi into the full moon scimitar. Kill. Following Bai Feng's cold words, the full moon scimitar in his hand slashed down. Rumble. A terrifying saber mark was peeled off from the full moon scimitar and fiercely slammed towards Ning Yu. Facing the incoming terrifying saber mark, Ning Yu quickly changed his strategy. He gathered all his primordial qi, soul power, and demonic lotus flame on his fist. Heavenly Fire Pill Cauldron. Ning Yu even took out the Heavenly Fire Pill Cauldron and threw it at the saber mark in midair. The reason why Ning Yu acted as if he was facing a great enemy was because the saber mark that Bai Feng slashed out was many times more powerful than before. Although Ning Yu's strength had increased, the power of the saber mark that Bai Feng had unleashed had also increased. Crack. In midair, the Heavenly Fire Pill Cauldron collided with the huge saber mark. Without a doubt, the Heavenly Fire Pill Cauldron did not withstand the attack of the saber mark and a crack appeared on it. Fortunately, Ning Yu had retrieved the Heavenly Fire Pill Cauldron at the critical moment. Otherwise, the Heavenly Fire Pill Cauldron would definitely have been blasted into two. This battle was practically the most terrifying battle in Ning Yu's life. Even when facing Gong Yangqing in the Pill Emperor City, Ning Yu did not have such a feeling. After all, the strength that Bai Feng had displayed had already far surpassed that of Gong Yangqing. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I'll refine you into a puppet. After slashing out, Bai Feng floated in midair and looked at Ning Yu like a victor. He said sinisterly, everyone who goes against me will end up like this. I'll first refine you into a puppet, then I'll refine your friends into puppets too. Ha ha ha. As he spoke, Bai Feng laughed to himself. Because as far as he was concerned, Ning Yu would definitely die this time. The power of the saber mark that he had unleashed with all his might had already reached the peak of his life. He was very confident that even a true pinnacle human immortal would definitely not be able to withstand this saber strike. Block it. The crack on the Heavenly Fire Pill Cauldron caused Ning Yu's fist to collide with the saber mark in the blink of an eye. Kai Kai. On the surface of Ning Yu's fist, Yuan Qi, demonic lotus flame, and soul power were all entwined. For a moment, the saber mark could not move an inch forward. The changes in the scene naturally could not be hidden from Bai Feng's eyes. He raised his brows, slightly surprised. But that was all. Bai Feng did not think that Ning Yu could withstand his saber mark. Crack. 3 seconds later, the Yuan Qi on Ning Yu's fist was completely shattered. Crack. Another 3 seconds later, the demonic lotus flame on Ning Yu's fist collapsed and was absorbed into Ning Yu's body. Crack. Another 3 seconds later, the soul power on Ning Yu's fist was completely shattered. Fart. The shattering of the soul power caused Ning Yu to spit out a mouthful of blood on the spot, his face turning pale. Ning Yu did not seem to care about all of this. He gathered all the physical strength in his body into his fist. Then, the fist and the saber mark collided. Crack. Chapter 1894. I advise you not to resist pointlessly. If you give up now, I might spare your life. Bai Feng smirked. After all, I have just arrived at the Celestial Spirit region and do not know much about this place. I need a dog guide too. However, before Bai Feng could finish his sentence, His mouth opened slightly and an extremely shocked expression appeared on his face. Crack! In the eye of the storm, Ningyu seemed to possess terrifying strength as he smashed the saber seal into two. Bai Feng was so shocked that he could not speak. The saber seal that he had unleashed with all his might, a saber seal that was comparable to the full power of a pinnacle human immortal, had been blocked by a pinnacle sage? How could Bai Feng not be shocked? Run! However, Bai Feng did not lose his mind. If he could escape once, he could escape twice, or even thrice. In order to activate the saber seal with the full moon saber, Bai Feng had used up all the energy in his body. In other words, any sage-level warrior would be able to kill Bai Feng at this moment. If he did not escape before Ningyu reacted, he would not be able to escape. Swoosh! No matter what Bai Feng did, he was never sloppy. As soon as he said he would leave, he tore open the void and entered. Whoosh! Ningyu saw how Bai Feng escaped. However, Ningyu was not in a hurry to chase after him. Because in his current state, Bai Feng's speed would be halved. Rather than taking a huge risk to chase after Bai Feng, he might as well adjust his mental state to its peak before giving chase. After all, Ningyu's losses in this battle were too great. In this battle, cracks appeared on the Heaven Fire Elixir Cauldron and the demonic Lotus Flame lost its former glory. His soul power was extremely weak and his energy was depleted. Tragic. This battle could only be described as tragic. Luckily, Ningyu's body had been tempered by the blood of the true dragon, Qilin, and World Tree. It was extremely tough. Bai Feng's saber seal created a crack, but the crack quickly healed. After resting on the spot for about 10 minutes, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes, stamped his feet on the ground, and dashed out. Although the 10 minutes of recuperation did not allow Ningyu to completely recover to his peak state, in general, Ningyu's strength had more or less recovered. It was enough to chase after Bai Feng in this state. Xiu! Tearing through the void, Ningyu chased after the full moon scimitar's aura. Bai Feng came from a higher plane, so it was too difficult to lock onto his aura. However, the full moon scimitar had a special aura. Ningyu knew that as long as he locked onto the full moon scimitar, he would definitely be able to catch up to Bai Feng, unless Bai Feng gave up the full moon blade. I must take revenge for this. After running at full speed for more than 10 minutes, Bai Feng turned around and found that Ningyu was not chasing after him. He could not help but let out a long sigh. In Bai Feng's opinion, losing to Ningyu in this battle was a humiliation for him. If he had lost to someone from a higher plane, he would not have felt ashamed. After all, his opponent was from a higher plane and could be an earth immortal. However, Ningyu was different. Bai Feng knew very well that Ningyu was an immortal spirit state native, and his cultivation was only at the peak of sage. Losing to Ningyu was a great humiliation for Bai Feng. Your friends are all in Alchemy Emperor City. I will recuperate for a while, then go to Alchemy Emperor City and kill all your friend. Bai Feng's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He secretly made up his mind that the first thing he would do after recuperating to his peak state was to go to Alchemy Emperor City and start a massacre. He would kill Ningyu's friends first, then deal with Ningyu. I'm sorry, you may not have this chance. Suddenly, an indifferent voice rang in Bai Feng's ears. Bai Feng's expression changed when he heard the voice. Bai Feng did not need to think to know that Ningyu had caught up to him. You're really haunting me. Bai Feng forced himself to calm down and said coldly, if I'm not wrong, you're also an arrow at the end of its flight. If you want to kill me, it depends on whether you have the ability to. He did not finish his words. Ningyu leaped up and punched out fiercely. Ningyu's punch brought along a violent gust of essence chi and hit Bai Feng's face hard. Poochie. The terrifying force blasted half of Bai Feng's face on the spot. A mist of blood appeared in the air. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and Bai Feng was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. Crack. Coincidentally, there was a mountain peak behind Bai Feng. Bai Feng's body smashed into the mountain peak, directly breaking it in half. After today, Bai Feng will no longer exist in this world. After his attack succeeded, Ningyu did not give Bai Feng any chance. After all, giving the enemy a chance was digging his own anger. Ningyu chased after him and appeared in front of Bai Feng in an instant. His fists swung repeatedly, and countless fist shadows appeared in an instant. Every punch landed heavily on Bai Feng's face. After throwing out hundreds of punches, Ningyu stopped. As for Bai Feng, he fell from the air and landed heavily in front of Ningyu. You. Bai Feng raised his arm with difficulty and pointed at Ningyu. He wanted to say something, but before he could make a sound, he died on the spot. Ding! After Bai Feng died, the full moon scimitar fell directly in front of Ningyu, emitting a crisp sound. Heh! Seeing the full moon blade in front of him, Ningyu raised his eyebrows. He vaguely felt that something was wrong. Logically speaking, he had only destroyed Bai Feng's physical body. As for Bai Feng's primordial spirit, it was still intact. According to Ningyu's original plan, he would wait for Bai Feng's primordial spirit to escape, then use a secret technique to imprison it and wait for an opportunity to ask some questions about the higher planes. But Bai Feng's primordial spirit did not appear. Instead, a full moon blade had fallen. How could Ningyu not be surprised? Come here. At this time, Ningyu was not in the mood to care about anything else. He had to find Bai Feng's primordial spirit and kill it. Otherwise, if Bai Feng tried to possess him again, the consequences would be unimaginable. The full moon blade drew a beautiful arc in the air before landing in Ningyu's hand. Could it be that Bai Feng's primordial spirit is in the full moon blade? Ningyu stared at the full moon blade and asked doubtfully. That's right, his primordial spirit is in the full moon blade. At this moment, a familiar voice suddenly rang out in Ningyu's mind. The Red Fiend. Without a doubt, the one who spoke was the Red Fiend. Previously, the Red Fiend had asked Ningyu for Li Weilong's primordial spirit. Now that Bai Feng's primordial spirit was stronger than Li Weilong's, the Red Fiend naturally targeted it again. In the Red Fiend's opinion, if he could devour the full moon blade's primordial spirit, he could control the Red Fiend sword to devour the full moon blade. Chapter 1895. Ningyu, give me the full moon scimitar. The Red Fiend's voice rang in Ningyu's mind again. I'll devour Bai Feng's essence spirit, the Red Fiend will devour the full moon scimitar. Rumble. The Red Fiend's words made Ningyu's heart skip a beat. Ningyu was not stupid. Since the Red Fiend could say that, it meant that he was not far from coming out of seclusion. Before entering seclusion, the Red Fiend was very weak. Previously, Ningyu did not have high hopes for the Red Fiend. After all, no matter how talented he was, he could not break through several levels and reach the Sage Realm in a single seclusion. But now, Ningyu changed his mind. After all, the Red Fiend had devoured many precious things, including terrifying existences like Li Weilong's essence spirit. In fact, a few days ago, Ningyu had even given him the last bit of immortal ascension grass. Devouring the immortal ascension grass and Li Weilong's essence spirit. Coupled with the Red Fiend's unique characteristics, Ningyu believed that once the Red Fiend devoured Bai Feng's essence spirit, he could break through his limits and give him a huge surprise. I'll protect you. Ningyu did not choose to waste his breath. He grabbed the full moon scimitar and threw it into the Red Fiend. The Red Fiend had its own space, so it was not a problem to store the full moon scimitar. But to prevent Bai Feng's essence spirit from causing trouble, Ningyu still wrapped all his essence qi around the full moon scimitar. If Bai Feng's essence spirit dared to resist, he would immediately help the Red Fiend. Give me 3 days. The Red Fiend did not argue with Ningyu. With his relationship with Ningyu, this small favor was not a big deal. While the Red Fiend was busy devouring Bai Feng's essence spirit, in Alchemy Emperor City. At this moment, most of the experts in Alchemy Emperor City had already left. City Lord Residence, Conference Hall. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely realize that he knew most of the people here. Human Demon was at the front, while Ninglu, Yi Jinsong, Meng Chang'an, Zhao Hang, Wu Potian, and War God Crane were at his sides. As for Old Man Tianji, Yun Mu, Ziyun, and the rest, they stood in the hall obediently. There's news from Four Corner City. Several of Ningyu's friends are trapped there. Human Demon looked around and said in a low voice, as far as I know, these friends have an unusual relationship with Ningyu. Some of them even followed Ningyu from the Great Xia Kingdom. The reason I gathered everyone here today is to ask how many of you are willing to go with him to Foursquare City in 3 days. I'll go there. When Ning Yu went to the back mountain of Four Corner City to look for immortal crystal veins, he did not bring the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei with him. Ning Yu thought that after solving the problem of the immortal crystal veins, he would be able to meet up with the Dark Emperor and the rest. Who would have thought that there would be a huge change, causing him and Ning Lu to take the teleportation array to Pill Emperor City? Once they arrived at Pill Emperor City, many things happened, causing Ning Yu to have no time to care about the Dark Emperor and the rest. Now, the Dark Emperor sent someone to bring news, saying that they were trapped in Four Corner City and wanted Ning Yu to immediately send reinforcements. When they got the news, the first reaction of Meng Chang'an and the rest was to immediately bring people over. Fortunately, Human Demon and Ning Lu returned and stopped them. With Human Demon's many years of experience, he felt that this was a trap against Ning Yu and all of them. I'll definitely go. Meng Chang'an expressed his attitude first. He also had a good relationship with Human Demon. If Human Demon went to Four Corner City, he would definitely go. Moreover, with the terrifying talent that Ning Yu had displayed, it was a very wise choice to firmly tie with Ning Yu. I'll go too. Me too. Kill our way over. Then, Yi Jiansong, Zhao Hang, Wu Potian, and Divine War Crane all expressed their attitudes. After all, in their hearts, Human Demon's current strength had already reached the peak of immortal spirit realm. He was probably not much weaker than Gong Yangqing. With Human Demon around, they were just going to go through the motions. Alright, the trip to Four Corner City will definitely be very dangerous. I'll give you 3 days to prepare. 3 days later, we'll gather outside Pill Emperor City. Human Demon stood up from his seat with a swoosh, and a terrifying aura soared into the sky. Hiss. Wu Potian and the others sucked in a breath of cold air as they sensed the terrifying aura emanating from the Human Demon. If one were to say that they were still a little worried before, then that bit of worry in their hearts had completely vanished now. With Human Demon's current strength, he should be able to easily kill Gong Yangqing. All of you are dismissed. Also, Old Man Tianji and Ning Lu, stay behind. Human Demon's aura disappeared in a flash, then he waved his hand and said. Yi Jiansong and the rest didn't dare to delay and immediately chose to leave. A moment later, only Old Man Tianji and Ning Lu were left in the conference hall. Old Man Tianji, you said that the person who contacted you from Four Corner City also knows divination? Human Demon asked with a frown. That's right, that person also knows divination, and is even stronger than me. Old Man Tianji nodded with a solemn expression. Only a few of them knew about the news from Four Corner City. On the surface, it was said that Dark Sovereign had sent someone to deliver the news, but in fact, it was just someone who knew divination and used divination to pass the message to Old Man Tianji. Of course, they used the secret language of divination among themselves. Even if others heard it, they wouldn't understand it. As far as I know, there's a heavenly secrets sect in a high-level plane. Could it be that they've also sent someone down? Human Demon frowned and murmured. High-level planes were vast. Even a true Earth immortal wouldn't dare say that they could set foot in any area. However, the heavenly secrets sect had always been mysterious. They claimed to hold the heavenly secrets in their hands, and were the honored guests of various large sects and factions. Therefore, even if the heavenly secret sect didn't have many disciples, they could be called one of the most terrifying factions in the high-level plane. Heavenly secret sect. Old Man Tianji's heart trembled. He seemed to have guessed something and hurriedly said, if I remember correctly, there should be someone who knows divination by Gong Yangqing's side. Swoosh. Hearing Old Man Tianji's words, Human Demon stood up with a swoosh and a terrifying aura pressed down on Old Man Tianji. He said in a deep voice, why didn't you say so earlier? Senior, please withdraw your aura. Being suppressed by Human Demon's aura, Old Man Tianji knelt on the spot and said shakily, generally speaking, people who know divination aren't very strong. I thought that the person who knows divination by Gong Yangqing's side wouldn't be able to stir up any waves, so. Fool. Human Demon berated. Others might not know, but how could he not know? If it was an outer member of the heavenly secret sect, it would be fine. Their strength wouldn't be that strong. But if it was an inner member of the Heavenly Secrets sect, then their strength would reach a terrifying degree. Use divination now and see what the divination is over at Four Corner City. After thinking about it, Human Demon felt that he should let Old Man Tianji do the divination. Although Old Man Tianji wasn't a true disciple of the Heavenly Secrets sect, he still knew some superficial knowledge of divination. Chapter 1896. All right. The elder of Tianji dared not delay the Human Demon's order. He immediately took out a 1,000-year-old turtle shell and began to perform his divination technique. Actually, even if the Human Demon had given the order, the elder of Tianji would have performed the divination himself. After all, he had to tag along on this trip to Four Corner City. If he knew the danger level of this trip in advance, he would have a better idea. Otherwise, going to Four Corner City like this would be like barging in blindly. Crack. However, just as the elder of Tianji performed his divination technique, a long crack appeared on the 1,000-year-old turtle shell in his hand. Oh no, someone is using a divination technique to stop me. The sudden change caused the elder of Tianji's expression to change drastically. Generally speaking, there could only be two reasons for a 1,000-year-old turtle shell to break. The first was that he was using a divination technique to spy on the fate of a person with great fortune. The second was that someone was using a divination technique to stop him, and the opponent's divination technique was much stronger than his. Judging from the way the turtle shell broke, it was clearly the second reason. This time, I'll destroy your turtle shell as a warning. If I find out that you dare to spy on the divination technique again, don't blame me for being rude. A cold snort resounded in the meeting hall. The elder of Tianji was not the only one who heard this voice. Even the Human Demon and Ning Lu heard it clearly. It's indeed an inner disciple of the Heavenly Fortune sect. The Human Demon's expression darkened. It was rumored that the lowest cultivation among the inner disciples of the Heavenly Fortune sect was an Earth Immortal. If it was just an Earth Immortal, the Human Demon would not have shown such an expression. After all, this was the Immortal Spirit region. Even if an Earth Immortal descended, he would only have the strength of a half-step human immortal. However, every inner disciple of the Heavenly Fortune sect had an extremely terrifying artifact in their hands. Divination stones. They were different from the divination masters of the lower planes. The divination masters of the lower planes all used turtle shells. The weaker ones used 100-year turtle shells, while the stronger ones, such as Old Man Tianji, used 1,000-year turtle shells. The people of the Heavenly Fortune sect all used divination stones. Not only could the divination stone be used for divination, but it was also a terrifying item that could increase the user's strength 3 times. In other words, if a disciple of the Tianji sect had the cultivation of a worldly immortal, then with the Tianji stone, they would be able to display the power of an earthly immortal. Most importantly, the divine fate stone could hide the secrets of the heavens. Even if he unleashed the strength of an earth immortal, he would not be affected by the plane barrier. This was what worried the demonic human the most. Poochie. The moment the disciple from the Heavenly Secrets sect finished speaking, the elder of Heavenly Secrets spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. His entire face was deathly pale. Whether it was in terms of cultivation or Heavenly Secrets, the old man of Heavenly Secrets was far from the disciple of the Heavenly Secrets gate. If not for that person from the Heavenly Secrets sect holding back, Old Man Tianji would have been a corpse by now. Of course, this was under the premise that the Human Demon did not make a move. Once the Human Demon made a move, protecting the elder of Heavenly Secrets would not be a problem. The disciple from the Heaven Secrets sect probably realized this, so he hurriedly gave a warning before disappearing without a trace. What do we do now? Elder Tianji asked as he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Even a clay figurine had some anger, let alone the elder of Heavenly Secrets. After being ridiculed by the Heavenly Secrets gate, the elder of Heavenly Secrets had to regain his face. The Human Demon swept his gaze over the elder of Heavenly Secrets and waved his hand. Go and rest first. We will depart for Quadrant City in 3 days. All right. Although the elder of Heavenly Secrets wanted to depart now, he had not lost his reason. 3 days was just the right time. Who knows, Maybe his understanding of heavenly secrets would increase by another level after 3 days? After all, he had gained a lot from fighting the Heavenly Secrets Gate's disciples. After the Elder of Heavenly Secrets left, the human demon looked at Ning Lu and asked, "Are you still unable to contact Ning Yu?" Ning Lu shook his head and said, "I know Ning Yu's character. He won't come back without killing Bai Feng. Bai Feng is not that easy to kill." The human demon took a deep breath. "With my current strength, I can't say I have 100% chance of winning against Bai Feng. Bai Feng's strongest weapon is the crescent blade in his hand." After some thought, Ning Lu said, "If Ning Yu can find a way to destroy the crescent blade, his chances of winning will greatly increase." Ning Lu still had lingering fears when the crescent blade was mentioned. At that time, he and Ning Yu had teamed up and used all their trump cards to block the blade seal from the crescent blade. Now that Ning Yu was going to deal with Bai Feng, Ning Lu would definitely be worried. "Right, before Ning Yu went after Bai Feng, I think I saw you send something into his body." Frowning slightly, the human demon said in confusion, "After that thing entered Ning Yu's body, I clearly felt that Ning Yu's physical strength had increased a lot. That was Chilean blood." Ning Lu did not hide and said honestly, "A long time ago, Ning Yu experienced true dragon blood tempering his body. At that time, his physical strength was already very strong. Now that he's been tempered by Chilean blood, it is reasonable for his physical strength to increase a little. Within reason." The human demon's expression was a little exaggerated. Pacing back and forth in the hall, the human demon said, "Do you know how strong Ning Yu's physical body is? With just his physical strength, he can even fight a complete saint, in other words, a half-step human immortal. If he has some other trump cards, I'm afraid he can fight evenly with Bai Feng." In truth, the human demon was already regretting it. He regretted not helping Ning Yu after his cultivation recovered to its peak, instead choosing to come to Pill Emperor City. But it was useless to say anything now. The human demon could only pray that Ning Yu would come back soon. At the same time, in a hidden area, Ning Yu's eyes suddenly opened, and he couldn't help but let out a long sigh. The essence of the world tree is indeed extraordinary. Ning Yu's face lit up. When he was tempered by the world tree, Ning Yu's physical strength had a qualitative leap. Now, after 3 days of recuperation, Ning Yu found that his physical strength had increased a lot again. If he fought Bai Feng again, even Bai Feng wouldn't be a match for him in terms of physical strength. Ning Lu has reached the peak of saint and awakened a lot of memories. I can ask him to give me some sacred martial techniques to cultivate. Ning Yu's eyes turned, and he focused his attention on Ning Lu. In ancient times, some powerful beings would sit under the world tree for dozens or even hundreds of years to gain enlightenment. There were even some ancient powerful beings who sat under the world tree for tens of thousands of years. Those powerful beings would practice martial techniques, mental cultivation methods, and alchemy under the world tree. Although Ning Yu had the supreme 9 purities sword art, the emperor art, and the netherworld samsara palm, the sacred martial techniques couldn't satisfy him anymore as the enemies he faced grew stronger. The sacred martial techniques were fine against sages, but against real immortals, they might not be enough. Chapter 1897. Crack. Just as Ning Yu was secretly thinking about how to extort Ning Lu, a crisp voice suddenly rang in his ear. Ning Yu was ecstatic when he heard that voice. Needless to say, the voice was definitely coming from the Red Devil, or rather, it was the Red Devil sword. In 3 days, the Red Devil had already devoured Bai Feng's primordial spirit. After devouring Bai Feng's primordial spirit and Li Weilong's primordial spirit, the Red Devil had directly advanced to the peak of the Sage Realm. To be honest, Ning Yu rolled his eyes when he saw the Red Devil advance to the peak of the Sage Realm. He had gone through a lot of hardships to advance to the peak of the Sage Realm, but the Red Devil and Ning Lu had easily advanced to the peak of the Sage Realm. It was really infuriating to compare humans to trees and humans to demons. However, after the Red Devil advanced to the peak of the Sage Realm, he did not show off to Ning Yu. Instead, he wholeheartedly helped the Red Devil sword devour the full moon scimitar. Ning Yu knew that the Red Devil sword could devour the energy of flying swords. In the past 3 days, the Red Devil sword had devoured the broken Black Dragon sword and the full moon scimitar. In fact, Ningyu even wanted to let the Red Devil Sword devour the heavenly fire elixir cauldron. In the end, Ningyu gave up on the idea and let the Red Devil Sword devour the incorporeal elixir cauldron. After devouring so many high-level Dharma treasures, the Red Devil Sword did not disappoint Ningyu. As a crisp sound rang out, the Red Demon Sword finally broke free from its shackles. It advanced a step further and advanced to the true saint level. The Full Moon Scimitar and the Black Dragon Sword had played an important role in the Red Devil Sword's advancement to the level of a sage-level Dharma treasure. However, most importantly, the Red Devil Sword had completely refined the Pill Puppet Clan expert trapped in the array formation within it. There was an array formation within the Red Devil Sword, and the Pill Puppet Clan expert was trapped within the array formation. Relying on the terrifying energy contained within the expert's body, the Red Devil Sword and the Red Devil Sword could successfully advance to the peak of the sage level. Phew! Feeling the aura emanating from his body, the Red Demon could not help but let out a long breath. To be honest, it was all thanks to the two primordial spirits provided by Ningyu that he was able to successfully advance to the peak of the sage realm. Thank you. The Red Fiend retracted his aura, held the Red Fiend sword, and said to Ningyu, "We can fight side by side again in the future." Ningyu pounded the Red Devil's chest and said, "Who are we? There's no need to thank me." The Red Fiend smiled and handed the Red Fiend sword to Ningyu. Ningyu's expression was solemn. He slowly extended his right hand and grasped the hilt of the Red Demon Sword. Rumble. As soon as he held the Red Demon Sword, Ningyu felt an extremely terrifying energy surge toward his body. Ningyu was shocked. The grade of the Red Demon Sword was most likely not just a simple sage grade. It was infinitely close to the immortal grade. Above saint rank magic treasures were immortal rank magic treasures. Generally speaking, inferior immortal rank magic treasures corresponded to human immortals. Intermediate immortal rank magic treasures corresponded to earth immortals. Superior immortal rank magic treasures corresponded to celestial immortals. From the depths of the Red Demon Sword, Ningyu felt an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation. Although the energy fluctuation was very obscure, Ningyu's sharp senses still detected it. "I'm afraid the Red Demon Sword is not as simple as it seems." Ningyu frowned. The Red Demon Sword always surprised him. Logically speaking, the Red Demon Sword was the sword spirit of the Red Demon Sword, so it should know the origin of the Red Demon Sword. However, even the Red Demon Sword could not explain it clearly. "Forget it, I'll think about it later." Ningyu shook his head and temporarily put these thoughts to the back of his mind. Now that he had taken care of Bai Feng, the Red Demon had advanced to the peak of the Sage grade, and the Red Demon Sword had also reached the Sage grade. It was time to return to Alchemy Emperor City. "I've wasted so much time. I wonder if the matter in Alchemy Emperor City has been resolved." Ningyu flicked his wrist and put the Red Demon Sword into his storage ring. He then leaped up and rushed toward Alchemy Emperor City. The Red Demon followed closely behind Ningyu. Before returning to Alchemy Emperor City, Ningyu first passed by the place where he fought with Bai Feng. When he did not find the human demon and Ning Lu there, Ningyu's expression became slightly ugly. He had told Ning Lu and the human demon to stay where they were and wait for him. Now that Ning Lu and the human demon had disappeared, he was naturally worried. Next, Ningyu increased his speed to the limit and did not stop along the way. He rushed toward Alchemy Emperor City without stopping. When Ningyu and the Red Demon arrived at Alchemy Emperor City, it was already evening. Standing at the gate of Alchemy Emperor City, Ningyu frowned. He released his senses and did not find the human demon and Ning Lu in Alchemy Emperor City. Not to mention the human demon and Ning Lu, he did not even find Yi Jiansong, Meng Chang'an, and the others. "What's going on?" Ningyu's face was unsightly as he stopped a heavenly sovereign and solemnly said, "What happened in the Pill Emperor City for the past few days? Did someone attack? Who do you think you are? Let me go." "Ah, so it's Ningyu." "Nothing has happened in the Alchemy Emperor City for the past few days. The heavenly sovereign that was stopped by Ningyu initially wanted to ridicule. But when he saw Ningyu's face, he immediately changed his words. Ever since you killed Gong Yangqing, practically all the experts have left. Right now, There's not a single saint in the Alchemy Emperor city. There's not a single saint. Ningyu knitted his brows. Seeing Ningyu's doubt, the heavenly sovereign explained, in the morning, senior human demon brought city lord Yi Jinsong, the president of the Alchemy Union, Meng Chang'an, and several other pinnacle experts out of the Alchemy Union. As for the other experts, they left not long after senior human demon and the rest left. They left. Do you know what they went to do? Ningyu asked. I heard that someone found origin energy in the myriad demon ridge. Everyone in the celestial spirit realm with a bit of strength has gone there to try their luck. The heavenly sovereign answered honestly, I joined a mercenary group. I'll be heading to the myriad demon ridge in a while. The myriad demon ridge, huh? Ningyu murmured. A long time ago, he had heard some news from the cultivator in the Emperor Palace's prison. There was origin energy in the myriad demon ridge. But he was puzzled. Even if the news had been leaked, the human demon shouldn't have brought so many people to the myriad demon ridge. At the very least, he should have left someone behind to wait for him. Who is it? At this moment, Ningyu's face changed. He suddenly took out the red demon sword and slashed at the void in the distance. Crack! Ningyu's sword directly split the void in half. PFFFT. A martial artist in grey robes fell from the void. Seeing that he couldn't kill the other party with a single move, Ningyu was a little surprised. One must know that although he didn't use his full strength in that attack, it was enough to kill an initial phase saint. Chapter 1898. Speak. Why are you spying on me? Ningyu sheathed the red demon sword and looked at the pinnacle sky supreme coldly. If you can't give me a good explanation today, then don't even think about leaving. I'm not spying on you. The pinnacle sky supreme rolled his eyes and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. I just happened to pass by and saw your extraordinary bearing, so, PFFFT. Before he could even finish his sentence, he felt his body lighten as he was sent flying backwards. Fresh blood spurted out of his mouth and his aura instantly dropped to the freezing point. I hate people who don't speak the truth. Ningyu waved his hand and turned to the red demon. Kill him and devour his Yuan spirit. Rumble. The pinnacle sky supreme's heart trembled when he heard Ningyu's words. I'm from Four Corner City. My name is Xiefei. Ningyu knitted his brows and looked at Xiefei without saying a word. Ningyu didn't speak, but Xiefei didn't dare to. For the sake of his life, he could only brace himself and say, someone from the Heaven's secret sect predicted that you would appear, so they asked me to bring you a message. Submit, or die. Plop. After saying that, Xiefei collapsed to the ground. Xiefei was well aware of Ningyu's character. He was willing to sacrifice himself for his friends. But to his enemies, he was crueler than anyone. How arrogant. Ningyu said coldly. Since you're here, why don't you come out and meet me? Xiefei knitted his brows. Could there be someone else in the surrounding space? Soon enough, Xiefei understood what was going on. There was someone in his body, not in the air. Boom. In the blink of an eye, Xiefei exploded, and a black figure darted out from his body. Keek, Ningyu, I admit that you're strong, but what's the use? The black figure let out a strange laugh. Your friends, the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei, are in our hands. How are you going to fight us? Ka. Hearing this, Ningyu clenched his fists tightly, making cracking sounds. Whether it was the Dark Emperor or Lu Wei, they were both his reverse scales. Dragons had reverse scales, and those who touched them would die. Ningyu also had a reverse scale. If he touched it, he would also die. Shio. In an instant, Ningyu turned into a shadow and rushed out. You've come just in time. Master said you're the immortal spirit realm's son of the plane, but I don't believe it. Looking at Ningyu, who was charging toward him, the black shadow sneered. Soon after, the black shadow abruptly expanded and enveloped the entire region. Voila! Following that, countless cold lights swept out from the sky and blasted towards Ningyu. Sword, come. Although there were many cold lights attacking him, Ningyu did not slow down at all. He made a grabbing motion with his right hand, and the red demon sword instantly appeared in his hand. Kill. As Ningyu shouted, the the red demon's sword suddenly slashed down. A massive sword aura separated from the red demon's sword. Kai kai kai. The sword ray did not show the slightest fear or retreat in the face of so many cold lights. Instead, it became more and more courageous. Almost in an instant, the cold lights in the air were all destroyed. After the cold lights dissipated, the sword ray still charged toward the black shadow with great power. You're really something. The black shadow did not panic when the cold lights were destroyed, but he was slightly moved. He was a disciple of the Heavenly Secrets sect. Although he was restricted by the plane barrier of the immortal spirit realm and could not display his peak strength, it was not a problem for him to display the strength of a half-step human immortal. I'll show you what a real human immortal is like. The corner of the black shadow's mouth curled into a smile. He waved his hands, and then a terrifying wave of energy surged out from his body. Human immortal fist. A low roar came from the black shadow's mouth. Watch out. Seeing the black shadow's fist ray, the red demon's expression changed drastically and he hurriedly shouted. At the same time, the red demon stepped forward and wanted to help. Don't worry. Guard the surroundings for me. Remember not to let him escape. Ningyu waved his hand and said to the red demon, a mere human immortal fist can't do anything to me. Although he said that, Ningyu's expression was very solemn. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched the human immortal fist in the air. Ha ha ha. Seeing Ningyu's action, the black shadow could not help but laugh out loud as if he had seen the funniest thing in the world. My human immortal fist can easily kill a half-step human immortal. You're only at the peak of the sage realm. How can you resist it? How is this possible? However, before the black shadow could finish his words, his mouth opened slightly and his face was full of disbelief. One should know that when he was in a high-level plane, he had used this human immortal fist to kill a half-step human immortal. Ningyu's cultivation was only at the peak of the sage realm. How could he resist his human immortal fist? Moreover, not only did Ningyu resist his human immortal fist, but he also turned from defense to offense and threw a punch at him. Looks like I have underestimated you. The black shadow was indeed from the Heaven Fortune sect. He reacted quickly. Seeing that Ningyu was about to reach him, he took a deep breath and took out the Heaven Fortune Stone. Every member of the Heaven Secret sect had a Heaven Secret Stone in their hands. The Heaven Fortune Stone was extremely powerful in both offense and defense. Red Demon Sword. Seeing the black shadow take out the Heaven Fortune Stone, Ningyu was finally moved. Even though he looked down on the black shadow, he could not help but look solemn when he saw the Heaven Fortune Stone. With the strength of his monarch-level soul power, he could naturally tell that the Heaven Fortune Stone was unusual. I must get this stone. Ningyu immediately took out the red demon sword and slashed at the Heaven Fortune Stone in the black shadow's hand. You overestimate yourself. Seeing that Ningyu controlled the flying sword to slash at the Heaven Fortune Stone in his hand, the black shadow sneered, if you can break the Heaven Fortune Stone, I will change my surname to yours. Sorry, my target is not the Heaven Fortune Stone. Just as the red demon sword was about to hit the Heaven Fortune Stone, Ningyu suddenly moved the red demon sword away and slashed at the black shadow. Oh no! This sudden change was clearly not what the black shadow had expected. Due to his arrogance, he had lost the basic vigilance of a martial artist. Crack! Although he tried his best to dodge, the black shadow still could not avoid the red demon sword slash. The sword rose and the arm fell. Although Ningyu's attack did not completely kill the black shadow, it chopped off the black shadow's arm. We will meet again. The black shadow was not an indecisive person. After his arm was chopped off, he made a prompt decision to leave. Although he might not be a match for Ningyu if he used the Heaven Fortune Stone to increase his strength 3 times. However, under such circumstances, he obviously did not want to use the Heaven Fortune Stone. After all, Ningyu's friends were in Four Corner City. If Ningyu wanted his friends to live, he would definitely go to Four Corner City. As long as Ningyu went to Four Corner City, it would be Ningyu's death. At that time, he could slowly torture Ningyu and make Ningyu's life worse than death. Chapter 1899. I'm sorry, but the grudge between us has to be settled today. Without the Heaven Secret Stone and without news of the Dark Emperor and the rest, how could Ningyu let the black figure leave? No matter what, Ningyu had to capture the Black Phantom today. Moreover, he had to capture it alive. I am from the Heaven Secret sect, how dare you stop me? The black figure's eyes were bloodshot as he said coldly, all those who go against the Heaven Secret sect must die. Noisy. Ningyu couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with the black figure. He needed to understand the situation of the Dark Emperor and the rest as soon as possible. Therefore, he wielded the Red Devil sword and instantly burst forth with shocking speed. Before the black figure could react, he had already arrived beside him. Catcher. Sheathing, the sword fell. This time, Ningyu chopped off the other arm of the black figure. 2 swords, 2 arms. The black figure's strength was greatly reduced. You forced me to do this. The black figure was extremely furious. He decided to use the Heaven Secret Stone to kill Ningyu at all cost. If he didn't kill Ningyu today, he wouldn't be able to vent his hatred. Trying to play tricks in front of me? Sorry, you're still too young. Ningyu was already on guard against the black figure. The Heaven Secret Stone must have some secret inside since the black figure placed so much importance on it. Ningyu couldn't let the black figure use such a treasure no matter what. Divine Sword Wave. Sky Splitting. Creation Fist. Almost in an instant, Ningyu displayed 3 Sage tier martial skills. Without the Red Devil sword in the past, Ningyu couldn't unleash his peak strength when executing these 3 Sage martial techniques. Now that he had the Red Devil sword, the power of these 3 techniques had reached the peak. Just by using these 3 techniques, Ningyu could easily deal with a half-step human immortal, which was equivalent to a sage in the Great Perfection stage. The black figure in front of him was only a half-step human immortal without the Heaven Secret Stone. Ningyu could easily kill such a person. Ding, ding, ding. However, the black shadow naturally would not stand still and let Ningyu kill it. Divine Sword Wave and Sky Splitting were both blocked by the black figure using the Heaven Fate Stone. As for the Fist of Creation, it landed on the black shadow's chest. The intense pain that came from his chest caused the shadow of the black shadow to dissipate, revealing his true appearance. She was about 20 years old, with fair skin and clean face, and her beautiful hair fluttering in the wind. I will tear you apart. The black shadow, no, he should be called the white-faced martial artist. The white-faced martial artist opened his mouth and angrily said, "You're finished. No one in this world can save you. I'm going to kill you, skin you alive, and refine you into a puppet." As he spoke, the white-faced martial artist directly swallowed the Heaven Fate Stone. Buzz. As the Heavenly Fate Stone entered his mouth, the white-masked cultivator's aura soared at a terrifying rate. Half-step human immortal. Peak of half-step human immortal. Human immortal. Mid-human immortal stage. In a short period of time, the white-faced martial artist's aura had reached the terrifying middle stage of human immortal. Ningyu was shocked. This was the immortal spirit region, and there were plane barriers here. Initially, he thought that even if the white-faced martial artist used the Heaven Fate Stone, his strength would only increase by a little. Who would have thought that the white-faced martial artist's strength would increase by more than 10 times? Crack. At the same time, in a secret chamber in Four Corner City, an old man suddenly smashed the jade cup in his hand. Who is it? How dare you force my disciple to use the Heaven Fate Stone? The old man's face was extremely gloomy, and the surrounding air seemed to have frozen. Could it be Ningyu? Soon, the old man seemed to have thought of something and frowned. No, Ningyu only has the cultivation of a peak sage. No matter how strong he is, he can't force my disciple to use the Heaven Fate Stone. Forget it, I'll ask him when he comes back. After thinking for a moment, the old man instantly retracted his aura, sat down cross-legged, and closed his eyes. The white-faced martial artist was unaware of the old man's actions. However, the white-faced martial artist knew that his master would definitely know that he had used the Heaven Fate Stone. 10 seconds. The white-faced martial artist did not waste even a second. After his aura increased to the intermediate stage of a human immortal, he immediately attacked Ningyu. Although the Heaven Fate Stone could increase his strength, there was a time limit. After all, this was the immortal spirit realm, and there was a plane barrier. In other words, even the Heaven Fate Stone could not hide from the plane barrier for too long. Once the plane barrier sensed his intermediate stage human immortal cultivation, it would definitely suppress him, or even send him to a higher plane. 10 seconds is enough to kill you. The white-faced martial artist twisted his neck, turned his body into a fist, and suddenly punched. Human immortal fist. Just now, the white-faced martial artist was only a sage in the Great Perfection realm. Although his human immortal fist was strong, it could not pose a threat to Ningyu. Now that his cultivation had increased to the intermediate stage human immortal, the power of the human immortal fist would increase by more than a few times. Enter the Red Fiend Sword. Ningyu's expression turned extremely serious, and he said to the Red Fiend, "I'm going to attack with all my strength." Although the 3 sage-ranked martial techniques that Ningyu executed earlier were very powerful, they were still far from enough to deal with the pale-faced cultivator with just 3 sage-ranked martial techniques. Luckily, the 3 sage martial skills were not Ningyu's trump card. After the Red Fiend Sword was upgraded to a sage flying sword, Ningyu's trump card had become the Red Fiend Sword. To be more precise, it was the Red Fiend Sword and the Red Fiend Sword fused together. Ningyu's elemental chi surged, and all of it was injected into the Red Fiend Sword. Then, he leaped into the air and slashed down fiercely. Ha ha ha. Even if you are a real human immortal, killing you is like slaughtering a dog. The white-faced martial artist raised his head and laughed maniacally. He admitted that the flying sword in Ningyu's hand was very strong, but that was all. After all, the power of the human immortal fist that he had displayed was extremely strong. Not to mention that Ningyu's cultivation was only at the peak of the sage stage. Even if Ningyu's cultivation was raised to human immortal, the white-faced martial artist would still be fearless. It's too early for you to be happy. The corner of Ningyu's mouth curled up, and he swung the Red Fiend Sword in his hand. Swoosh. The Red Fiend Sword drew a beautiful arc in the air, and then it collided head-on with the human immortal fist that the white-faced martial artist had displayed. Kaboom! When the two collided, an extremely terrifying sound was suddenly heard. Oh no, human immortal. When the Red Fiend Sword and the human immortal fist collided, the white-faced martial artist realized that something was wrong. He hurriedly turned his body into a fist, and wanted to use the human immortal fist again. Fart. However, it was obviously too late for the white-faced martial artist to use the human immortal fist again. Ningyu appeared in front of him and punched his head. Boom. Ningyu's punch was so powerful that it directly exploded the white-faced martial artist's head. Countless blood mists flew everywhere, and the white-faced martial artist's body was directly destroyed. Swoosh. Although his body was destroyed, the white-faced martial artist still did not die. His primordial spirit immediately used a secret skill and flew far away. Moreover, as he flew away, he did not forget to leave behind a vicious sentence. Chapter 1900. Pay me back double. The corners of Ningyu's mouth curled up, and he immediately said coldly, "I'm sorry, but you may not have the chance." As soon as he finished speaking, Ningyu stomped his feet on the ground, and his body instantly dashed out. The white-faced martial artist was from the Heavenly Secret Sect, and he came from Four Corner City. How could Ningyu let him go? Even if he could not extract his memories, he had to kill him. Otherwise, when he returned to Four Corner City successfully, the Dark Emperor, Lu Wei, and the others would be in danger. Kai. The white-faced martial artist was only left with his primordial spirit. Even if he flew with all his might, his speed could not compare to Ningyu's. It only took 3 minutes for Ningyu to catch up with the white-faced martial artist, blocking his path of retreat. I am from the Heavenly Secret Sect. If you dare to kill me, your friend will definitely be killed by my master. Seeing that there was no way out, the white-faced martial artist forced himself to calm down and said coldly, "Why don't we make a deal? You let me go, and when I return to Four Corner City, I will definitely beg my master to let your friend go. Why do you have so much to say?" Ningyu could not be bothered to talk nonsense with the white-faced martial artist. If he was afraid of the Heavenly Secret Sect, or if he was a naive person, he might be fooled by the white-faced martial artist. However, he had lived 2 lives, and the Heavenly Secret Sect was a high-level sect. No matter how powerful it was, it had little to do with him now. Therefore, no matter how glib the white-faced martial artist was, it was impossible for him to convince Ningyu. At most, we'll fight to the death. Seeing that Ningyu was not moved at all, and instead, he waved the red demon sword in his hand, and quickly attacked him, the white-faced martial artist immediately shouted. At the same time, in the process of shouting, the white-faced martial artist's body made a sizzling sound. From the looks of it, he wanted to detonate his primordial spirit and perish together with Ningyu. If you wanted to detonate your soul to take me down with you right from the start, perhaps I would have some reservations. But now, I'm sorry, it's too late. The red demon sword in Ningyu's hand suddenly shot out, slashing at the white-faced martial artist's primordial soul at an extremely terrifying speed. Previously, the red demon sword could only devour soul power or yuan qi. However, after advancing to a sage-level flying sword, the red demon sword already possessed the ability to devour essence spirit. Although the white-faced martial artist's essence soul was powerful, the red fiend was in the red fiend sword. With the red fiend controlling the red fiend sword, its ability to devour essence souls had almost reached its peak. In an instant, the red demon sword arrived in front of the pale-faced martial artist and pierced through his primordial spirit. When the red demon sword pierced through the pale-faced warrior's primordial spirit, a strong suction force suddenly sucked the pale-faced warrior's primordial spirit into his body. Wild geese leave their voices behind, and people leave their names behind. Unfortunately, the white-faced cultivator did not even leave any face before he was forcefully devoured. Shio. After devouring the pale-faced warrior's primordial spirit, the red fiend's figure flashed and he emerged from the red demon sword, landing beside Ningyu. In the red fiend's hand was a palm-sized stone. The Heaven's Secret Stone. With the pale-faced martial artist's physical body destroyed and his primordial spirit devoured, the Heaven's Secret Stone naturally fell into the red fiend's hands. Ningyu, from the pale-faced martial artist's memories, I found out that this Heaven's Secret Stone can be used twice, and each time, it will increase your strength greatly. The red fiend handed the Heaven's Secret Stone to Ningyu and explained, in other words, you are now at the peak of a sage. Once you use the Heaven's Secret Stone, you will be able to instantly unleash early-stage human immortal battle strength. After receiving the Heaven's Secret Stone from the red fiend, Ningyu looked around and revealed a puzzled expression. Not long ago, the pale-faced martial artist had used the Heaven's Secret Stone to forcefully raise his cultivation to mid-stage human immortal. Ningyu had witnessed it all. It could be said that without the Heaven's Secret Stone, the 2 pale-faced martial artists wouldn't be a match for Ningyu. How are the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei? Ningyu kept the Heaven's Secret Stone and asked. Since the red fiend devoured the pale-faced martial artist's primordial spirit, it meant that he had also devoured the pale-faced martial artist's memories. The pale-faced martial artist was from the Heaven's Secret Sect and came from Four Corner City. He must be very clear about what was going on in Four Corner City. The Dark Emperor and Lu Wei are fine. At the mention of the Dark Emperor and the rest, the red fiend's expression turned solemn and he said, but the rest. At this point, the red fiend didn't continue. However, although the red fiend didn't say it, his meaning was self-evident. Crack crack. Ningyu's expression turned cold and he clenched his fists so tightly that they made cracking sounds. Apart from the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei, there was also a group of core members of Supreme Palace in Four Corner City. Now that they were all dead, how could Ningyu not be angry? But anger was anger. Ningyu still did not lose his reason. The pale-faced martial artist possessing the Heaven's Secret Stone meant that his master had it too. The pale-faced martial artist's strength was already horrifying enough. It could be imagined how powerful his master's strength was. Oh, right, are human devil and the rest in Four Corner City? Ningyu seemed to have thought of something and continued to ask. His main purpose of returning to Alchemy Imperial City this time was to find human devil and Ninglu they all. Right now, they were not in Alchemy Imperial City. Ningyu was naturally very worried about their safety, fearful that they would rush to Four Corner City foolishly. Not now. But in a few hours, they might be in your Four Corner City. the Red Fiend shook his head and said, "There's no time to lose. Let's set off immediately. Ning Yu originally wanted to stay here and recuperate for a period of time. But he was worried about the safety of Human Devil and Ning Lu and the rest, so he decided to set off immediately. Ning Yu was very clear that the distance between Four Corner City and Alchemy Imperial City was very far. Back when he came from Four Corner City, even if he took the teleportation array, it still took a long time. "I know a place with a teleportation array." The pale-faced martial artist came from that teleportation array. The Red Fiend also did not want Dark Emperor and the rest to be persecuted. He took Ning Yu and skimmed towards the east of Alchemy Imperial City. The reason why the pale-faced martial artist could reach Alchemy Imperial City from Four Corner City in a short time was that he knew a hidden teleportation array. That was also because the pale-faced martial artist came from Heaven's secret sect and knew a deep level of Heaven's secret arts. Otherwise, it was impossible to find that hidden teleportation array. Just as Ning Yu and the Red Fiend went to find the teleportation array, in the void not particularly far from Four Corner City, a group of people was moving forward in a mighty manner. If Ning Yu was here, he would definitely discover that these people were very familiar to him. In the lead was Human Devil and Ning Lu. Behind them, Wu Potian, War God Crane, Yi Jiansong, Meng Chang'an, Zhao Hang, and the rest were all following at full speed. Almost everyone that Ning Yu knew followed along this time. At this moment, this group of people's anger was a little suppressed. Everyone was very clear that this trip did not bode well. There were experts from Heaven's secret sect in Four Corner City, and Heaven's secret sect was a sect that even Human Devil was wary of, let alone these immortal spirit realm natives. In fact, Wu Potian from the Martial region and War God Crane from the War God region were vaguely regretting at this moment. They regretted placing their bets on the human demon. However, there was no free lunch in this world. Even if they were a little regretful, they did not dare to show the slightest bit of expression at this time. They could only bite the bullet and go forward. Chapter 1901. Everyone, hold on a little longer. We'll reach Four Corner City in another 3 to 4 hours. Seeing that everyone was a little depressed, the human demon said, "When we reach Four Corner City, Ning Lu, Meng Chang'an, and I will find a way to sneak into the city. As for Wu Potian, Battle God Crane, Yi Jiansong, and the rest, they will stay outside the city and be ready to receive us." The human demon was worried that this was a trap. But even if he knew it was a trap, he had no other choice but to bite the bullet. After all, the cultivators trapped in Four Corner City were Ning Yu's closest friends. He didn't want to see his friends killed when Ning Yu returned. No problem. Wu Potian and Battle God Crane were a little regretful, but after hearing the human demon's arrangement, they were the first to agree. Everyone knew that sneaking into Four Corner City was dangerous, and they would be exposed if they weren't careful. There were people from the Heaven's secret sect in Four Corner City, and if they were exposed, it meant that they would have to face the experts of the Heaven's secret sect. They had already witnessed the strength of the Heaven's secret sect once, and they didn't want to see it again. It was more flexible to stay outside. If the human demon and the rest were in danger, the people outside could rescue them or retreat. Wu Potian and Battle God Crane had already made up their minds. If the human demon and the rest were at a slight disadvantage, the two of them would rescue them. But if the human demon and the rest were at an absolute disadvantage, the two of them would bring Ziyun and the rest away as soon as possible. In their view, there was no need for unnecessary sacrifices. They had already done their best to save Ziyun, Old Man Tianji, and the rest. Whoosh! Time was always slipping away unknowingly. In the blink of an eye, 3.5 hours had passed. The human demon and the rest had successfully arrived at a place 30 miles west of Four Corner City. Whoosh! 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 According to the agreement, the human demon, Ning Lu, and Meng Chang'an teleported and charged towards Four Corner City. Wu Potian, Battle God Crane, and the rest stayed where they were, quietly waiting. Whoosh! The human demon, Ning Lu, and Meng Chang'an stopped when they were 2,000 meters away from Four Corner City. After slightly casting the disguise technique and temporarily sealing their cultivation at the true martial realm, the three of them then walked toward the Four Corner City. A distance of 2,000 meters was not particularly far. Not long after, Human Demon and the other two appeared at the gate of Four Corner City. Yes, the three of you, come here. Originally, Human Demon and the others were about to sneak into Four Corner City. However, just as they were about to step into the city, a Creation Realm warrior guarding the gate called out to them. Why did you come to Four Corner City? The Fate Realm cultivator crossed his arms over his chest and stared at the Human Demon and the others with interest. He asked, You all look unfamiliar. Why have you come to Four Corner City? Sir, we came to Four Corner City mainly to buy a few kinds of medicinal herbs. Human Devil had experienced this kind of interrogation after entering the city gate many times in the higher planes. He quickly said, The three of us are at the peak of the true martial realm, we want to buy some herbs, and then ask an alchemist to help us refine Dans, while at the same time attack the Yuandan realm. Breaking through to the primal core stage? Just the three of you? The Fate Realm warrior pursed his lips and said disdainfully, I see that the veins in your bodies are blocked. Even if you have superior Dans, it will be difficult for them to be of any use. Sir, what do you mean? Human Demon asked without batting an eyelid. Fortunately, you met me today, and I am in a good mood. Come with me, I will help you get rid of the hidden ailments in your bodies and help you break through to the Yuandan realm. The Fate Realm warrior waved his hand, looking as if they were very lucky. Human Demon and Ning Lu looked at each other, then nodded involuntarily. They were not very familiar with Four Corner City, so having a free guide would save them a lot of trouble. As for why the Fate Realm warrior wanted to help them, it was actually very simple. Human Demon slightly revealed the aura of pure energy. A man's wealth was his own ruin. If the Fate Realm warrior wanted the pure energy in their bodies, they would naturally obediently fall for it. Something big might happen in Four Corner City soon. The three of you follow me. It's best if you don't run around or look around. The Fate Realm warrior led Human Demon and the rest around Four Corner City and finally stopped outside a hidden room. The Creation Realm martial artist took out a key from his bosom and inserted it into the keyhole on the front door. Catcher. The key turned and a crisp sound rang out. The door slowly opened. Come in. You guys sit for a while, I will go make some preparations. After leading Human Demon and the rest into the room, the Fate Realm warrior entered the inner room. Jiao Chao, why did you bring a few true martial realm warriors this time? There was only a wooden bed in the inner room. An old man was lying on the wooden bed. He was about 60 or 70 years old, and upon closer inspection, both of his legs were broken. The Fate Realm warrior called Jiao Chao came before the old man and respectfully said, Senior, don't think that these three are only at the true martial realm. They have a large amount of pure energy in their bodies. Pure energy? The old man's eyebrows raised, a little excited. He was originally an expert from a higher plane. When he descended from a higher plane, he was unfortunately ambushed by the enemy, causing him to lose most of his fighting strength. He could only hole up in Four Corner City. Fortunately, he met Jiao Chao, who was in Blessed Realm, and used flowery words to deceive him, making him serve him willingly. That's right, pure energy. A large amount of pure energy. Jiao Chao hurriedly said, Senior, as long as you can devour that pure energy, you will definitely be able to return to your peak state. Jiao Chao's eyes were filled with excitement. According to the old man's promise, as long as the old man could return to his peak state, he would give him the blessing to advance from the Fate Realm to the Sky Supreme Realm. Jiao Chao's talent was mediocre. It was already a miracle that he could cultivate to the Fate Realm. Now that he had a chance to break through to the Sky Supreme Realm, he would definitely grab it and do whatever it took to restore the old man to his peak state. For this reason, he would bring a few people here every few days for the old man to devour. Seeing that there was a high chance that the old man could return to his peak state today, how could he not be excited? Call the three of them in. You stand guard outside. Without my permission, don't let anyone in. The old man waved his hand, indicating for Jiao Chao to leave first. Jiao Chao didn't dare to tarry. He hurriedly left and went to the room where Human Demon and the rest were. After coming out, Jiao Chao said to Human Demon and the rest, You guys are lucky today. Originally, I wanted to personally resolve the hidden injuries in my body, but my master saw that your talents are better, so he decided to help you guys. Chapter 1902. Hearing Jiao Chao's words, the human demon pretended to be excited. Thank you, Lord. Thank you so much. It's nothing, it's what I should do. Jiao Chao waved his hand. Go in, don't let my master wait for too long. Yes, yes. The human demon's face lit up as he immediately entered the room. Behind the human demon, Ning Lu and Meng Chang'an also entered the room without any hesitation. Looking at their silhouettes, Jiao Chao coldly snorted in disdain. What fools! What fools! But as he snorted, Jiao Chao's heart started to dream. Right now, he was in the fortune realm, and as long as the pure energy from the human demon and the rest could allow him to recover to his pinnacle state, then the old man would imbue him with energy, allowing him to reach the heavenly sovereign realm. At the same time, in the room the old man looked at the human demon and the rest with interest. You guys seem pretty calm. Why wouldn't I be? The human demon shrugged. At your peak, you might pose a threat to us. As for the current you, killing you is as easy as slaughtering a dog. You're courting death. The old man's face turned cold as he roared and stretched his right hand out, grabbing at the human demon. The old man immediately used a killing move, not intending to leave anyone alive. Child's play. Facing the old man's terrifying move, the human demon wasn't bothered. When they followed Jiao Chao here, the human demon and the rest had already noticed the old man and knew that his mental state wasn't at his peak. At his peak, the old man's cultivation was at the half-step human immortal realm, and his strength wasn't any weaker than the human demon. But now that the old man's legs were broken, the energy in his body was in a mess, and he was only left with 20% of his peak strength. Under this situation, would the human demon be afraid of the old man? The answer was no. Boom. Seeing that the old man's fist was about to land on the human demon suddenly dodged to the side. Crack. Shortly after, the human demon raised his right leg and kicked at the old man's right hand. A crisp sound resounded. Ah! A miserable shriek resounded from the old man's mouth. You! How dare you cripple my right hand? The old man covered his right wrist with his left hand, his face full of fear and anger. The old man was terrified because he had underestimated the human demon. With the human demon's current strength, he could easily defeat him. As for his anger, it was because the human demon had crippled his right hand. Answer a few of my questions honestly, or I'll make you pay. The human devil wouldn't waste time with this old man. His first task was to investigate Four Corner City and try his best to understand the situation of the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. Because with every minute that passed, the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei's lives would be in greater danger. Ask away. The old man was not an obstinate person, so he expressed his willingness to cooperate with the human devil. How many people from the Heaven Secrets sect are in Four Corner City? Human demon asked directly. Do you have a grudge against the Heaven Secrets sect? Hearing this, the old man's heart jolted, and he hurriedly said, there are a total of 3 people from the Heaven Secrets sect in Four Corner City. They are called Venerable Ku Yu, Venerable Han Ying, and Venerable Ku Yu's disciple, Bai Chang. A fake perfected being. Hiss. Human demon couldn't help but gasp when he heard the old man's words. In the Heaven Secrets sect, real Earth immortals were called venerable beings. As for peak human immortals, they were called false venerable beings. In other words, Venerable Ku Yu and Venerable Han Ying were real Earth immortals in the higher realms. Even the weakest Bai Chang was a half-step Earth immortal. One should know that the higher realms were vast, and it was difficult for real Earth immortals to appear in some of the borderlands. Now that there were 3 Earth immortals in Four Corner City, human demon's face turned extremely solemn. Although Earth immortals could only unleash the strength of half-step human immortals due to the existence of the realm barrier, these Earth immortals would be able to unleash the combat strength of real Earth immortals in the near future when the realm barrier completely break. No, I must rescue the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei before the realm barrier breaks. Human demon knew very well that now was the best time to act. Any later, and unpredictable dangers might appear. Therefore, Human Demon made up his mind that once he finished interrogating the old man, he would go look for the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. Sucking in a deep breath, Human Demon forced himself to calm down and asked, I heard that Daoist Master Ku Yu trapped a few people from Four Corner City, including a big black dog. Do you know where they are locked up? Dead. The old man said. Dead. This time, it wasn't just Human Demon who was shocked. Even Ning Lu and Meng Changan were shocked to the extreme. They had gone through so much trouble and even risked their lives to sneak into Four Corner City, only to be told that the Dark Emperor and the others were dead. Tell me the truth. Ning Lu took a step forward and unleashed a terrifying aura that pressed down on the old man. Fart. Under the pressure of Ning Lu's aura, the old man spat out a mouthful of dark red blood on the spot. He braced himself and said, They are indeed dead. A few days ago, Spiritual Master Ku Yu personally ordered those stubborn people to be killed. In the end, only 2 people, no, it should be said that only 1 person survived. The other one was a big black dog. Tell me the details. Human Demon said coldly. The old man didn't dare to go against Human Demon's will. He could only tell everything he knew. He even told Human Demon about Venerable Ku Yu, Venerable Hanying, and Bai Chang's weaknesses. Seeing that Human Demon didn't have any intention of killing him, the old man even started to fantasize. Venerable Ku Yu and the others might be strong, but Human Demon and the others weren't weak either. As long as both sides were injured, he would definitely be the one to benefit in the end. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. In the end, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. You seem very happy. Ning Lu took a step forward. Suddenly, a dark golden branch shot out of his body and stabbed into the old man's body from the top of his head. Never in his wildest dreams would the old man have imagined that he would still be killed in the end, even after revealing everything he knew. Moreover, the way he died was very special. Almost in an instant, the yuan qi in his body was sucked dry, and he turned into a meat patty. Devouring power. The old man had thought about how he would die, but no matter what, he didn't expect to die like this. Did he lie to us? Human Demon and Meng Changan took Ning Lu's actions for granted. After all, the old man wanted to devour them. Now that he was devoured, he couldn't blame others. He didn't lie, but he didn't tell us one thing. Not only did Ning Lu devour the old man's yuan qi, but he also devoured his memories. From the old man's memories, Ning Lu discovered something very terrifying. Chapter 1903. To put it simply, Four Corner City's geographical location was very special, extremely special. There was a huge sacrificial altar in the north, south, east and west of Four Corner City. Once all 4 altars were activated, Four Corner City would completely collapse. It was not a big deal for Four Corner City to collapse. At most, they could just leave. However, Four Corner City's special geographical location was revealed at this time. There was a huge teleportation array beneath Four Corner City. The purpose of Four Corner City's construction was to conceal the teleportation array and not let others know. The destination of the teleportation array was the 10,000 Demon Ridge. 10,000 Demon Ridge? Hearing Ning Lu's story, the Human Demon and Meng Changan's expressions became extremely solemn. They had heard some rumors when they were in Alchemy Emperor City. It was said that the source energy of the immortal spirit state was in the 10,000 Demon Ridge. At this time, most of the immortal spirit state experts were probably heading to the 10,000 Demon Ridge. However, how far was the 10,000 Demon Ridge from here? Even an early-stage sage martial artist would need a few days to fly at full speed. It could be said that if not for coming to Four Corner City to rescue the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei, the Human Demon and the rest would have followed them to the 10,000 Demon Ridge. There was a huge teleportation array beneath Four Corner City, and the destination was the 10,000 Demon Ridge. They might be able to rescue the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei first, then use the teleportation array beneath Four Corner City to head to the 10,000 Demon Ridge. Right, does he know where the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei are trapped? Taking a deep breath, the Human Demon asked. The urgent matter at hand was not to discuss how to get to the 10,000 Demon Ridge, but how to rescue the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. The City Lord residence of Four Corner City. Ninglu explained, perfected withered domain is inviting a few perfected masters to discuss how to activate the sacrificial altars around Four Corner City. We have to find a way to sneak into the City Lord residence. The human demon and Meng Changan looked at each other and said at the same time. They knew very well that brute force was definitely not enough to rescue the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. The best time was when perfected withered domain and the rest discussed how to activate the sacrificial altars. Because at that time, the attention of perfected withered domain and the rest would definitely not be on the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. It was not easy to sneak into the City Lord's mansion. After all, there would definitely be many perfected persons in the City Lord's mansion at this time. Under their eyes, the slightest carelessness would be discovered. Jiao Chao. Almost at the same time, human demon and Meng Changan shifted their gazes outside the room. The fact that Jiao Chao was able to be the gatekeeper at the city gate meant that he had some ability. If he relied on him, he might be able to successfully sneak into the City Lord's mansion. Time continued to pass. In the blink of an eye, evening came. Shio, shio, shio. In the sky above the City Lord residence of Four Corner City, several whooshing sounds were heard. Soon after, several cultivators appeared in the sky and landed in the City Lord's residence's discussion hall. At this time, there were two people sitting in the assembly hall. Perfected withered domain, perfected Han Ying. Although experts would enter the hall from time to time, perfected Ku Yu and perfected Han Ying did not even blink. They were from the Heaven's Fortune sect and had the Heaven's Fortune stone in their hands, so they were naturally very confident. Moreover, they were Earth immortals in a high-level plane. Most of the martial artists who came were human immortals in a high-level plane. There was no need for them to welcome them. He didn't even know how to put on a show. Swoosh. At this moment, an afterimage swept across the sky and landed in front of the assembly hall in the blink of an eye. Swoosh. Swoosh. After the afterimage appeared, perfected Ku Yu and perfected Han Ying were finally moved and opened their eyes. Whoosh. Perfected Ku Yu and perfected Han Ying were not the only ones. After seeing the original appearance of the afterimage, many of the martial artists present immediately stood up with solemn expressions. If Ning Yu was here, he would definitely realize that he knew this old man. This old man was none other than the old man who fought with him for the Chilean fruit. Vice Sect Master Mo Chenye of the high-level plane, the Transformation God Sec. I've long heard that Sect Master Mo is in the immortal spirit realm. I didn't believe it at first, but now that I see it, it's indeed true. Perfected Ku Yu's expression was solemn. He said in a deep voice, "May I know why Sect Master Mo is here?" In fact, it was no wonder that perfected Ku Yu's expression was solemn. In a high-level plane, he was an earth immortal, and so was Mo Chenye. Moreover, Mo Chenye's cultivation was a level higher than his. He was a mid-stage Earth Immortal. The gap between an early-stage Earth Immortal and a mid-stage Earth Immortal was even greater than the gap between an Earth Immortal and a human Immortal. Although perfected Ku Yu had the Divine Fortune Stone, Mo Chenye was the Vice Sect Master of the Transformation God Sect. There was no guarantee that he would also have a powerful trump card. Therefore, perfected Ku Yu did not want to have a conflict with Mo Chenye if he could. Hihi. I'm here for two things. Mo Chenye smiled. First, since you're discussing how to activate the altar and the teleportation formation to the Myriad Demon Ridge, I naturally have to go with you. As for the second, Mo Chenye paused for a moment and then said, I heard that you've captured a black dog and a woman. I want to take them with me. You want to take them with you? Perfected Ku Yu and perfected Han Ying stood up abruptly and said in a deep voice, We went through a lot of trouble to capture them. You can't just take them with you. There's no room for negotiation. Ha ha ha. Mo Chenye threw his head back and laughed wildly. Then, he said gloomily, I think you've misunderstood. I'm not here to negotiate with you. I must take them with me. Last time, Mo Chenye was forced to display strength beyond the perfect saint realm and was killed by the plane barrier. Fortunately, he had given up his physical body and the Chilean fruit, which allowed him to survive. Recently, the plane barrier had loosened. He had found a way to contact the transformation god sect in a high-level plane and obtained some pills from them to heal his injuries. After healing his injuries, Mo Chenye's first thought was to find the human demon and Ningyu and get revenge. After investigating, he found that perfected Kuyu had captured Ningyu's friends. Therefore, he decided to go to Quadrant City and wait for them. At that time, as long as he controlled Ningyu's friends, Ningyu and the human devil wouldn't appear obediently. "We're from the Divine Fortune sect," perfected Kuyu said in a deep voice with a gloomy expression. In a high-level plane, as long as he revealed his identity as a member of the Heaven Secret sect, many forces would give him face. "I don't think you understand what I mean," Mo Chenye snorted coldly. Then, his figure flashed and rushed toward perfected Kuyu at an astonishing speed. "Damn it!" Perfected Kuyu cursed as he looked at Mo Chenye, who was rushing toward him. Then, he clenched his right fist and punched. Crack! In the next moment, the two fists collided. An extremely crisp sound rang out, and an afterimage flew out in a straight line. Without a doubt, the figure that was sent flying was not Mo Chenye but perfected Kuyu. "I'll say it one last time. Hand over that black dog and Lu Wei. Otherwise, no one in this world can save you." Chapter 1904. Everyone, let's go together. As long as we can capture Mo Chenye, I promise everyone here that I will help you calculate for free. Withered Domain shouted while doing his best to resist Mo Chenye's oppressive aura. In the higher planes, the reason why the Heaven's Secrets Gate had such a high status was because they knew the Heaven's Secrets art. They could seek benefits and avoid harm within a certain range. It could be said that one would have to pay a huge price to hire someone from the Heaven's Secrets sect. Now, as long as they could capture Mo Chenye, they could ask Daoist Master Kuyu to perform a divination. No matter how they looked at it, this wasn't a bad deal. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, all the cultivators in the conference hall moved and surrounded Mo Chenye. One person might not dare to take action against Mo Chenye, but with so many people working together, they immediately became bolder. "Let me give you a word of advice. You'd better scram. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Mo Chenye wasn't worried about being surrounded. On the contrary, his aura became even more terrifying. Poochie, poochie, poochie. Under the pressure of Mo Chenye's terrifying aura, some of the cultivators who hadn't reached the half-step human immortal realm spurted out a mouthful of blood and were sent flying. Hiss. Mo Chenye's move caused the surrounding martial artists to suck in a breath of cold air. His aura alone could seriously injure a martial artist at the peak of the Sage realm. His strength was infinitely close to that of a real human immortal. "Mo Chenye, do you really want to become enemies with the Heaven's Secrets Gate?" Seeing that the Withered Domain Enlightened Master was about to collapse, Han Ying took a step forward. She held on to the Tianji stone with her right hand and stood beside the Withered Domain Enlightened Master. Kai Kai. When Mo Chenye's terrifying aura came into contact with the Heaven Fate Stone, a sizzling sound could be heard. For a moment, he couldn't do anything to the Heaven Fate Stone in Han Ying's hand. Rumor has it that every disciple of the Heaven's Fortune sect has a Heaven's Fortune Stone. In the past, I didn't believe it. But now, it seems like I was ignorant. Mo Chenye instantly retracted his aura and stared at the Heavenly Fate Stone in Han Ying's hand with interest. He said, "I've changed my mind. I don't want that big black dog and Lu Wei. As long as you hand over the two Heavenly Fate Stones, I'll leave immediately." Arrogant. Courting death. Mo Chenye's words infuriated Dao Master Kuyu and Han Ying. Relatively speaking, Mo Chenye's demand for the Dark King and Lu Wei wasn't enough to make them so angry. However, Mo Chenye's desire for the Heaven's Fate Stone made them extremely furious. The Heaven's Secrets Gate had a rule that anyone who lost the Heaven's Secret Stone would be sentenced to death. In other words, losing the Tianji stone was equivalent to losing their lives. "Does that mean you guys don't want to hand over the Heaven Fate Stone?" Mo Chenye shrugged and said. "Humph. If you want the Tianji stone, that will depend on whether you have the ability or not." Dao Master Kuyu and Han Ying looked at each other and snorted at the same time. "Today, either you die, or we die. Whoosh, whoosh. While speaking, Daoist Master Ku Yu and Han Ying rushed toward Mo Chenye at a terrifying speed. In their eyes, Mo Chenye might be strong, but neither of them was weak. In the high-level planes, Mo Chenye's cultivation was a small level higher than theirs. However, in the immortal spirit realm, their cultivation was exactly the same. They were both half-step human immortals. Now, it wasn't a competition of cultivation, but the density of the immortal chi in their bodies and the strength of their treasures. Rumble. Daoist Master Ku Yu and Han Ying joined forces to fight Mo Chenye. Their battle had reached the peak of the immortal spirit realm. At the very least, given the current loosening of the planar barrier, the three of them could unleash the maximum combat power allowed by the planar barrier. Any more and the planar barrier would expel them. What should we do? Watching Mo Chenye and Daoist Master Ku Yu's battle, one of the cultivators in the conference hall couldn't help but ask. What else can we do? We only have two choices. Another cultivator plopped down on a chair and said, the first choice is to join the battle. As soon as this martial artist finished speaking, everyone shook their heads in unison. Join the battle? What a joke. One had to know that Mo Chenye's battle was already at its peak. With their current strength, it would be difficult for them to even get close to the edge of the battlefield, let alone join the battle. Sigh, then there's only the second choice. The cultivator who spoke just now sighed and stretched out a finger, saying, wait. Everyone was puzzled. It's simple. If Daoist Master Ku Yu and Han Ying win, we'll all be happy and can successfully activate the teleportation array to Myriad Demon Ridge. But if Mo Chenye wins, the cultivator didn't finish his sentence. Although he didn't say it, everyone knew very well. If Mo Chenye won, they would die. After all, they were on Daoist Master Ku Yu's side. Mo Chenye would never let them go. If I'm not wrong, one of the two parties fighting in the sky is Daoist Master Ku Yu and Han Ying. Outside the City Lord's mansion, Ning Lu stared at the sky with a grave expression. Ning Lu had devoured the old man's memories, and in the old man's memories, there were the faces of perfected withered domain and perfected Han Ying. The other one is Mo Chenye. Human Demon's expression was even graver than Ning Lu's. Ever since they parted at the Moling mountain range, Human Demon had thought that Mo Chenye had been killed by the planar barrier. Who would have thought that he would meet Mo Chenye here? You know him? Ning Lu was surprised. Yes, he's from a higher plane. He's not weak. Human Demon said solemnly. Let's kill our way in while they're fighting and rescue the Dark Sovereign and Lu Wei. Human Demon wasn't a fool. He really wanted to cause trouble in the sky and seriously injure Mo Chenye and Daoist Master Ku Yu. But he knew that this was the best time to save the Dark Sovereign and Lu Wei. Without the protection of Daoist Master Ku Yu and Han Ying, all the cultivators in the City Lord's mansion wouldn't be a match for him and Ning Lu. Go. Ning Lu's thoughts were similar to Human Demon's. He stomped on the ground and shot forward. Not good, someone's attacking. Inside the City Lord's mansion, the meeting hall. Although the remaining cultivators couldn't participate in the battle between Mo Chenye and Daoist Master Ku Yu, their perception wasn't weak. Almost as soon as Human Devil and Ning Lu rushed out, they noticed something was wrong. Fart. However, even if they had discovered some clues, it would be of no use. Human Demon and Ning Lu could easily defeat a half-step human immortal in a one-on-one fight. Therefore, in just a hasty exchange, two peak sage warriors were killed. Where are the Dark Sovereign and Lu Wei locked up? Chapter 1905. I'll talk, please don't kill me. The pinnacle sage martialist was called Hang Ji. He said shakily, the two of them are locked in the secret chamber of the City Lord mansion. I can lead the way. Then hurry up and lead the way. The Human Demon kicked Hang Ji's butt and said coldly, if I find out you're up to no good, I'll throw you out to feed the dogs. I wouldn't dare. In order to survive, Hang Ji hurriedly waved her hands and obediently walked towards the secret chamber of the City Lord Manor. Whoosh. After Hang Ji and the Human Demons left, the surviving people in the conference hall heaved a long sigh of relief. The pressure that the human demon had exerted on them just now was too great, only slightly weaker than Mo Qianye's. They couldn't help but start to suspect something. What was the background of the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei? Why did so many peerless experts come looking for them in such a short time? The rest of the martialists shook their heads. Since they couldn't figure it out, they didn't bother thinking about it. They could only watch as immortals fought. The secret chamber is just ahead. The Dark Emperor and Lu Wei are locked in there. On the other side, Hang Ji pointed at the sealed stone door and said, "The withered spiritual master said that anyone who enters the secret chamber without his permission will be killed. I don't dare to go in." "You don't dare to go in?" Ning Lu glared at Hang Ji and said, "If I tell you to go, then go. What's with all this nonsense?" "Fine." Hang Ji gritted his teeth and slowly walked toward the sealed stone door. As Hang Ji moved forward, he left only his back for Ning Lu and the human demon. "Activate." In a flash, Hang Ji stomped his right foot on the ground. Crack. In an instant, the ground caved in and a crisp sound came from below. After the crisp sound, a faintly discernible protective barrier protected Hang Ji and the entire secret chamber. Ha ha ha. Hang Ji looked at the human demon and Ning Lu, then suddenly raised his head and let out a strange laugh. "Looks like Spiritual Master Ku Yu really has a good plan. He knew that you would come to save the Black Dog and Lu Wei, so I was ordered to stay behind and lure you there." Hang Ji's lips curled up and she said coldly, "To tell you the truth, a total of 4 people from the Heaven Secret sect came down this time, and I am perfected Han Ying's disciple, Sun Keming. I don't care who you are, Keming. Originally, I wanted to let you live today, but since you're so stubborn, I can only send you to heaven." A cold light shot out of Ning Lu's eyes and suddenly shot towards Hang Ji. Insignificant skill. Hang Ji took out a piece of Tianji stone and threw it into the hole beneath her feet. Buzz. Just as the Tianji stone was thrown into the hole, the array was activated. The activation of the array formation directly caused the originally somewhat illusory protective shield to become solid. More importantly, the protective shield this time trapped Human Devil and Ning Lu inside. Very good, very good. Human Devil and Ning Lu became very calm. "Although you've activated the array formation and formed a giant protective shield, you can't pose any threat to us with your current strength." "That's right." Hang Ji didn't deny it. He shrugged and said, "Indeed, I can't pose any threat to you, but my master, perfected Han Ying, and perfected Ku Yu can. I'll tell you the truth. My master, perfected Han Ying, has already calculated everything that happened today. Whether it was Mo Qianye's appearance or the two of you, my master already predicted it. Once my master and the others take care of Mo Qianye, the rest will be your turn." Hearing Hang Ji's words, Human Devil and Ning Lu's expressions became somewhat cold. They had tried just now, and the protective shield that trapped them was indeed not simple. Even if they used all their strength, they couldn't guarantee that they could break it in a short time. If they couldn't break the protective shield, and if perfected Han Ying and perfected Han Ying really defeated Mo Qianye, they would be in a situation of no return. Clap clap. Hang Ji didn't care what Human Devil and Ning Lu were thinking. He clapped his hands and the door to the secret room slowly opened. Inside the secret chamber, a large black dog and a young woman were standing back to back in the same place. Without a doubt, the black dog was the Dark Emperor, and the young woman was Lu Wei. When they saw the door to the secret room open, they instantly turned into a blur and tried to rush out. Bang bang. The result was obvious. Both of them slammed into the protective shield and were bounced far away. Sigh, it's a pity that Master can't calculate Ning Yu's whereabouts. Otherwise, I would have been able to catch all of you in one fell swoop. Hang Ji placed his hands behind his back and sighed softly with a slightly disappointed expression. "You want to catch all of us in one fell swoop?" However, an indifferent voice rang in Hang Ji's ears as soon as he finished speaking. Hang Ji's hair all over his body stood on end when he heard the voice. He hurriedly turned his head. He saw a thin young man hovering in midair. The blood-red flying sword in the young man's right hand was particularly dazzling. Ning Yu. The young man was none other than Ning Yu. How is this possible? Hang Ji cried out in horror. His perception was very strong, and he was constantly paying attention to the changes in the surrounding void. Who would have thought that under his perception, Ningyu would appear without anyone noticing? It really shocked him. Ningyu! Ha ha ha! The Dark Emperor shouted excitedly when he saw Ningyu floating in midair. The Dark Emperor suffered all kinds of torture when he was captured by perfected Kuyu. His hair was cut until he was bald, and his body was covered in wounds. If it weren't for the Dark Emperor's belief that Ningyu would come to save him, he would have probably died long ago. Ka. Ningyu looked at the Dark Emperor's miserable state on the ground and clenched his fists so hard that they made cracking sounds. Buzz. Ningyu wasn't the only one who was furious. Even the Red Devil was controlling the Red Devil sword, making buzzing sounds. The Red Devil, Ningyu, and the Dark Emperor. The three of them had experienced many life-and-death situations. They were very close to each other. Ningyu had never been so angry before. He wanted to kill, to start a massacre. The Heaven Secret sect will pay the price for what they did today. Ningyu's eyes flashed with a cold light. Soon after, the Yuan Qi in his body surged and poured into the Red Demon sword. Slash. Ningyu gripped the Red Devil sword tightly in his right hand and slashed in the air. Whoosh. The power of Ningyu's slash was extremely terrifying. The void was torn apart as countless terrifying gales gathered together and slashed towards the protective barrier. Master said that this protective barrier can withstand the attack of a true human immortal. I don't believe you can slash it apart. Chapter 1906. Under Hang Ji's horrified and furious gaze, Ningyu's sword gleam collided with the protective barrier. For some reason, the sword gleam did not move an inch after coming into contact with the protective barrier. Ha ha ha. Seeing this, Hang Ji suddenly laughed maniacally. In the process of laughing, Hang Ji did not forget to take the time to mock Ningyu. A piece of trash like you wants to break the protective barrier? Maybe in your next life. Hang Ji was very excited and in a good mood. In his opinion, as long as Ningyu could not break the protective barrier, their plan today would be perfect. Is that so? Faced with Hang Ji's mockery, Ningyu's lips curled up and he said calmly, "You're celebrating a little too early." "I'm celebrating a little too early? I think you've lost your mind." Hang Ji pointed at his nose and said disdainfully. However, before Hang Ji could finish his words, his expression changed drastically. Crack 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 crack. Several crisp sounds rang in his ears like thunder from a clear sky. Hang Ji froze on the spot when she heard the crisp voice. Crack. Ningyu did not care about Hang Ji's reaction. He wielded the Red Demon sword and slashed again. This time, the protective barrier finally could not withstand it and cracked. Swoosh. As soon as the protective barrier cracked, Human Demon and Ninglu moved quickly and firmly restrained Hang Ji. Human Demon and Ninglu would not make the same mistake a second time. Ninglu stretched out his right hand and suddenly slapped at Hang Ji's head. "You can't kill me. My master is perfected Han Ying. I'm the peerless." Fut. Hang Ji could not help but shout as he looked at the palm that was slapping at him. However, how could Ninglu give Hang Ji another chance? He slapped down with his right hand, causing Hang Ji to vomit blood on the spot. Subsequently, a terrifying devouring power surged out from Ninglu's body, and in practically an instant, Hang Ji was sucked dry. Who? After devouring Hang Ji, Ninglu took a deep breath and slowly said, "Enlightened Master Han Ying and Enlightened Master Ku, you already knew that we would come here, so they set up a trap. They wanted to use the protective barrier to trap us first and deal with us after they finished off Mo Chenye. Does that mean Daoist Master Ku Yu and the others are confident in subduing Mo Chenye?" Human Demon frowned. Human Demon knew Mo Chenye's strength. Although the God Transformation sect was a small force in a higher plane, this was the immortal spirit realm, and Mo Chenye was the vice-sect master of the God Transformation sect. Such a powerful being's strength and trump cards were not weak. It would definitely be difficult for Daoist Withered and Daoist Han Ying to control Mo Chenye. "I'm confident, but only 60%. Ninglu said in a low voice, "If I'm not wrong, then their battle has probably reached a critical moment. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go and join in the fun. The human demon's eyes flickered to the side as he charged toward the battlefield in the void. Since the battle between Mo Chenye and Daoist Master Ku Yu had reached a critical juncture, there was no better time to go. As the saying went, strike while you're down. The human demon's plan was to wait until both sides were injured and then suddenly attack. That way, not only could he control Mo Chenye, but he could also control Daoist Master Ku Yu and Daoist Han Ying. All right. Ning Lu glanced at Ning Yu before charging into the void. President Meng, please stay behind and take care of the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. I'll be right back. Since Ning Lu and Human Demon had gone, Ning Yu definitely wouldn't stay here alone. He didn't have time to catch up with the Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. He hurriedly followed Ning Lu and Human Demon into the distance. Meng Chang'an looked at Ning Yu's back, then at the weak Dark Emperor and Lu Wei. In the end, he chose to stay behind. In truth, Meng Chang'an wanted to help. However, Meng Chang'an was well aware of his own strength. Right now, he was on a different level from Ning Yu and the others. Be it Ning Yu, Ning Lu, or Human Demon, they were all a level higher than him. His strength was only at the peak of the Sage Realm, but Ning Yu and the others were genuine half-step human immortals, or even close to human immortals. Boom! At the same time, the battle between Mo Chenye and Daoist Master Ku Yu had reached its climax. Among them, Mo Chenye's clothes were tattered, and only half of his hair was left. As for Daoist Master Ku Yu and Daoist Han Ying, they weren't any better. Daoist Master Ku Yu's left leg was broken, and his body seemed to have been washed in blood. Daoist Han Ying's left eye was slightly closed. Clearly, he had been blinded by Mo Chenye. You think you can kill me with just the two of you? Mo Chenye hovered in the air and said proudly, I only need to use 80% of my strength to easily kill you. Who doesn't know how to brag? Daoist Master Ku Yu snorted. We didn't intend to use the Heaven Fate Stone, but since you're seeking death, don't blame us. With that, Daoist Master Ku Yu swallowed the Heaven Fate Stone. Buzz buzz buzz. As the Heaven Fate Stone entered his stomach, Daoist Master Ku Yu's aura skyrocketed at a terrifying speed. Half-step human immortal, peak half-step human immortal, early stage human immortal, mid-stage human immortal. Daoist Master Ku Yu was much stronger than his disciple, Bai Chang, in a high-level realm. Therefore, his disciple could only increase his cultivation to mid-stage human immortal, but he could increase it to late-stage human immortal. Rumble. After using the Heaven Fate Stone to increase his cultivation to late-stage human immortal, Daoist Master Ku Yu suddenly stopped. Actually, if he didn't stop, he could even raise perfected Ku Yu's cultivation to the peak of the human immortal stage. But this was the immortal spirit region, and the plane barrier hadn't been broken yet. Daoist Master Ku Yu could clearly feel that when his cultivation reached late-stage human immortal, the plane barrier shook a little, as if it was going to lock onto him. He didn't dare to take the risk, so he quickly stopped the Heaven Fate Stone. Late-stage human immortal. Mo Chenye wasn't the only one who was shocked by Daoist Master Ku Yu's aura. Even Ning Yu and the rest who were hiding in the void had grave expressions on their faces. Late-stage human immortal and mid-stage human immortal were two completely different concepts. It could be said that two mid-stage human immortal martial artists were definitely no match for a late-stage human immortal martial artist. How confident are you? The human demon turned to Ning Yu with a grave expression. Since Daoist Master Ku Yu used the Heaven Fate Stone to increase his cultivation to late-stage human immortal, then Daoist Master Han Ying should be able to do the same. That's right. Even if Daoist Master Ku Yu and Mo Chenye are both injured, we have to get rid of a late-stage human immortal martial artist. Ning Lu nodded in agreement. We might not have been confident before, but now, the corner of Ning Yu's lips curled up slightly. He reached into his robes and took out a stone. The stone wasn't too big, but it was round. Chapter 1907. Heaven Fortune Stone. Ning Lu and the human demon exclaimed at the same time when they saw the stone in Ning Yu's hand. It was obvious that the stone in Ning Yu's hand was a Heaven Fortune Stone. Why do you have a Heaven Fortune Stone too? asked the human demon after a brief moment of shock. The human demon was well aware of how precious the Heaven Fortune Stone was to the Heaven Fortune sect. Moreover, the Heaven Fortune sect's disciples treated the stone even more than their own children. Stone destroyed, people die. This was a saying that circulated in the Heaven Fortune sect. When Hang Ji was killed, it wasn't that the human demon didn't want to snatch the Heaven Fortune Stone, but that he didn't have the chance. In other words, Hang Ji had already destroyed the Heaven Fortune Stone when Ning Lu started devouring it. I killed Wise Master Withered Domain's disciple, Bai Chang, so his Heaven Fortune Stone naturally fell into my hands. Ning Yu said matter-of-factly. However, Ning Yu's eyes quickly widened. He stared at Ning Lu and said, "It seems like the cultivator you swallowed earlier was also a Heavenly Mystery Gate disciple. Did he not have a Heavenly Mystery Stone on him? My ass." Ning Lu immediately cursed at the mention of this. He had indeed wanted to snatch Hang Ji's Heaven Fortune Stone, but he hadn't expected Hang Ji to be so stubborn and destroy the stone as soon as he made a move. "Tell me in detail, why didn't Bai Chang destroy the Heaven Fortune Stone?" asked the human demon curiously. "I killed him after he used the Heaven Fortune Stone and had the Hong Mo devour his primordial spirit." Ning Yu shrugged and then repeated the situation at that time. The human demon fell into deep thought after listening to Ning Yu's story. A moment later, the human demon came to a sudden realization and said, "If you want to snatch the Heaven Fortune Stone from someone of the Heaven Fortune sect, you have to fulfill two conditions. First, you have to use the Heaven Fortune Stone when they use it. Second, you have to defeat them quickly and capture their primordial spirit." Rumble. Just as the human demon finished his analysis, a terrifying clash broke out in the distance. Mo Chenye took out a silver flying sword and started fighting Wise Master Withered Domain. Clearly, Mo Chenye was at an absolute disadvantage in this battle. After all, Dao Master Ku Yu had used the Tianji stone to boost his cultivation to the advanced worldly immortal stage. Even though Mo Chenye had used a sage-grade flying sword, he still couldn't hurt Dao Master Ku Yu. "Stop fooling around. Your Heaven Fortune Stone still has 5 seconds left." Enlightened Master Haining looked around and said to Enlightened Master Withered Domain, "We have to get rid of Mo Chenye quickly. I have a feeling that something is wrong with Hang Ji." In order to trap Mo Chenye, Perfected Master Haining and Perfected Master had set up a powerful restriction. Fortune Immortal Sect Haining and Yun had set up as God Fortune Stone stopped. Chen Tian Yun had set up. After all, the immortal spirit realm was about to undergo a huge change. Many experts from the higher realms had descended. Even though they had the Tianji stone, it could only be used 3 times. Every time it was used, there would be one less. Lu and Heaven Fortune, Lu Fortune clan, they Lu clan had fortune, stone as and could. Of Fortune clan was had stone was had Feng had fortune stone. Had spirit was had fortune stone. Don't worry. 5 seconds is enough to trap Mo Chenye. Perfected Master Withered Domain turned around to look at Perfected Master Haining. Then, he charged at Mo Chenye. Using his body to block the holy sword, Perfected Master Withered Domain decided to use his body to block Mo Chenye's holy sword. If this was a higher realm, Perfected Master Withered Domain would not dare to block the holy sword with his body. After all, the holy sword was powerful enough to injure a peak human immortal. However, this was the immortal spirit sect Lu and Mo Chenye's combat power was limited. He could not use the holy sword to its fullest. How could Perfected Master Withered Domain be afraid? Bang! In the next moment, Perfected Master Withered Domain's fist collided with Mo Chenye's holy sword. Nothing earth-shattering happened when the two collided. There was only a crisp sound as the holy sword was sent flying by a powerful force. Meanwhile, Mo Chenye spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Swoosh! Swoosh! Perfected Master Withered Domain chased after Mo Chenye while Perfected Master Haining charged at the holy sword. The holy sword was very precious. It was rare even in higher realms. Perfected Master Haining would not give it up. However, Enlightened Master Han Ying was so focused on the holy sword that he neglected the human demon and Ning Yu's group hiding in the void. Unfortunately, the holy sword flew in the direction where Ning Yu and the rest were. Attack with all your strength. You must kill perfected Master Han Ying in one strike. Ning Yu's expression turned grave as he looked at the holy sword and perfected Master Han Ying charging at him. As long as he could get rid of perfected Master Han Ying, he could definitely get rid of perfected Master Withered Domain. Perfected Master Withered Domain should be in a weakened state after using the Divine Fate Stone. He could not use his peak strength. Heaven Prison Fist. The human demon used his strongest move, the Heaven Imprisoning Fist. Go. Ning Lu did not hold back. He took out the dark golden branch in his body and decided to use it to kill perfected Master Han Ying. Divine Fate Stone. As for Ning Yu, he took out the Divine Fate Stone he got from Bai Chang and wanted to use it to increase his cultivation. Gotcha, Holy Sword. Perfected Master Han Ying clearly did not expect that there would be danger waiting for him in front of him. He grabbed the holy sword with an excited expression. With the holy sword, perfected Master Han Ying's strength would double. Oh no! However, perfected Master Han Ying was an expert of the Heaven Secrets sect and was well versed in the art of Heaven Secrets. Almost as soon as Ning Yu and the others made their move, he reacted. Perfected Master Han Ying did not think about anything else and immediately used the Divine Fate Stone. Buzz buzz. Perfected Master Han Ying's strength instantly increased to mid-stage human immortal after the Divine Fate Stone entered his stomach. Moreover, it continued to increase. However, just as perfected Master Han Ying's cultivation was about to increase to late-stage human immortal, the three terrifying attacks from Ning Yu and the rest had already reached him. He had no choice but to give up on the Divine Fate Stone and fight head-on with Ning Yu and the rest. Ning Yu fought against perfected Master Han Ying first. With the boost from the Divine Fate Stone, Ning Yu's strength also increased to mid-stage human immortal and there were signs of him breaking through to late-stage human immortal. Fart. Ning Yu launched a sneak attack while perfected Master Han Ying hurriedly defended himself. The result was obvious. Perfected Master Han Ying did not dodge Ning Yu's attack and vomited blood. Fart. Fart. What made perfected Master Han Ying angry was yet to come. Following that, Human Demon's Heaven Imprisoning Fist and Ning Lu's Dark Golden Branch landed on his body at the same time. Perfected Master Han Ying spat out several mouthfuls of blood and was sent flying. His aura instantly dropped from mid-stage human immortal to perfected sage. Chase. Ning Yu and Human Demon would not let perfected Master Han Ying off. Chapter 1908. Perfected Withered Domain, Save Me. After being hit by a few attacks in succession, not only did Daoist Han Ying's aura fall to rock bottom, a huge wound even appeared on his chest. The attacks from Ning Yu and the Human Demon were extremely powerful. If Han Ying hadn't used the Heavenly Fate Stone to negate most of the force, he would have been turned into a meat patty. Even so, perfected Han Ying's current state was at the lowest point in his life. Now, let alone Ning Yu and Human Demon, even a random Sage Realm Warrior was enough to kill him. Han Ying retreated while asking for help from perfected Withered Domain. Damn it! Perfected Withered Domain couldn't help but curse when he heard Han Ying's cry for help. The Heavenly Fate Stone's amplification only lasted for 10 seconds. 10 seconds had passed, and perfected Withered Domain had successfully captured Mo Qianye. His original plan was to plant a restriction in Mo Qianye's mind and interrogate him for some information. But now, perfected Han Ying's situation had completely disrupted his plans. He and Han Ying were both from the Heaven Secrets sect and had descended from a high-level plane together. He had to save Han Ying no matter what. Stay here. After cursing, perfected Withered Domain waved his hands and set up a small array around Mo Qianye. After all, he had gone through a lot of trouble and even used the Heavenly Fate Stone to capture Mo Qianye. He definitely wouldn't give up. Swoosh. After setting up the small array, perfected Withered Domain's figure flickered and flew toward Han Ying. This is my chance. Mo Qianye's desolate eyes lit up when he saw perfected Withered Domain's departure. He thought he was done for, but who would have thought that someone would help him at the critical moment? Who is it? Mo Chenya's eyes shifted to the other side of the battlefield. It's them. Mo Chenya's expression turned ugly when he saw who it was. Ning Yu and the human demon were his enemies. Last time in the Moling mountain range, it was Ning Yu and the human demon who caused trouble, causing him to trigger the planar barrier and be killed by the planar barrier. The appearance of Ning Yu and the human devil gave him a chance to escape. I should think of a way to leave this place first. I'll come back for revenge when I'm at my peak. Mo Chenya was no fool. With his current mental state, he was completely unable to join the battle on the other side and seek revenge on human demon. The only thing he could do now was to think of a way to leave and then wait for an opportunity to strike. Open. At the thought of this, Mo Chenya waved his hands repeatedly and bombarded the small formations around him. Ka. Under Mo Chenya's incessant bombardment, the small formation around him actually emitted crisp cracking sounds. However, Mo Chenya might have overlooked Withered Domain's formation prowess and his current state. If he was at his peak, he could easily break through the small arrays around him. But now, it was very difficult for him to break the array in a short time. Damn it, I hope Ning Yu and the human devil can hold on for a while longer. Mo Chenya couldn't help but curse when he saw that he couldn't break the small formations. In his opinion, the battle between Ning Yu and Withered Domain was destined to end with Withered Domain's victory. After all, Withered Domain came from the Heaven's Secrets sect of a higher plane. His cultivation was also incomparably powerful. Rumble. At the same time, in the distant void, Withered Domain was already fighting with Ning Yu and the others. Mo Chenya's thoughts were correct. Withered Domain's people were truly powerful. In terms of pure strength, perfected Master Han Ying couldn't compare to Withered Domain at all. Moreover, when perfected Master Han Ying was sent flying, his right hand had grasped tightly onto the sacred sword. In other words, the sacred sword was in Withered Domain's hand. There was a path to heaven, but you didn't take it. Instead, you barged into hell. With the sacred sword in hand, Withered Domain forced Ning Yu and the others back. Today, I'll let you know what true strength is. As soon as he finished speaking, Withered Domain took out a white elixir and tossed it into his mouth. Buzz. As the elixir entered his stomach, Withered Domain's aura soared at a terrifying speed. In the beginning, Withered Domain used the Heaven's Secret Stone to increase his cultivation to the late-stage human immortal realm. After using the Heaven's Secret Stone, Withered Domain's aura also decreased to a certain extent. But after swallowing a white elixir, Withered Domain's aura directly soared to its peak state. Swallow. In the next moment, Withered Domain directly swallowed the Heaven's Secret Stone. Buzz. Buzz. Withered Domain's strength soared again after the Heaven's Secret Stone entered his stomach. Early-stage human immortal realm, mid-stage human immortal realm, late-stage human immortal realm. This time, Withered Domain's aura instantly soared to the late-stage human immortal realm and continued to soar. Boom. A muffled sound rang out. Withered Domain's aura had soared to the peak of human immortal realm. Moreover, there was a faint halo around Withered Domain's body. That halo was used to resist the immortal spirit realm's plane barrier. You guys can be proud of yourself for forcing me to use my trump card. Feeling the terrifying energy coming from his body, Withered Domain twisted his neck and said coldly, I won't kill you. I'll only chop off your limbs and refine you into human stick puppet. Ning Lu, think of a way to kill perfected Han Ying. The human demon and I will stay behind to deal with Withered Domain. At the critical moment, Ning Yu did not panic and remained calm. Although Withered Domain was his greatest enemy, perfected Han Ying was not to be underestimated. If he recovered to his peak state, the consequences would be unimaginable. No problem. Ning Lu did not argue with Ning Yu. He stomped on the ground and charged towards perfected Han Ying. Where are you going? Withered Domain yelled and rushed out to block Ning Lu when he saw Ning Lu charging towards perfected Han Ying. However, before Withered Domain could reach Ning Lu, his path was blocked by Ning Yu and the human demon. Your opponents are us. Ning Yu was on the left and the human demon was on the right. They spoke at the same time. Die. This was the first time Withered Domain felt so angry. He swung the sacred sword in his hand and several sword rays shot out at Ningyu and the human demon. Heaven Prison Fist. The human demon took a step forward and pulled Ningyu behind him. He then used his trump card, Heaven Prison Fist. Divine Fate Stone. Ningyu circulated the god of war blood in his heart and forced himself to activate the Divine Fate Stone a second time. Withered Domain could activate the Divine Fate Stone twice in a short period of time because he had consumed the white pill. If Ningyu wanted to activate the Divine Fate Stone a second time, he would have to pay the price. Chapter 1909. Kai. Ningyu's aura soared at a terrifying speed as he activated the Heaven Fate Stone for the second time. If Ningyu hadn't used his full strength when he first activated the Heavenly Fate Stone, then this time, he didn't hold back at all and pushed the Heavenly Fate Stone to its limit. His body made a sizzling sound as Ningyu's cultivation rose to the late-stage human immortal realm. Fart. Just as Ningyu's cultivation rose to the late-stage human immortal realm, the human demon and perfected withered domain's battle came to an end. 3 moves. In just 3 moves, the human demon was defeated by perfected withered domain. I'm so pissed. The human devil felt very aggrieved, and he cried out in frustration. This was the immortal spirit realm, and the human demon did not have any trump cards with him. As a result, he could not unleash the strength of a human immortal like perfected withered domain. Otherwise, with the human demon's strength in a high-level realm, killing perfected withered domain would be a piece of cake. Crack. After the human demon was defeated, the outcome of the battle on the other side of the battlefield was also decided. Perfected Hainying crushed the Heaven Fate Stone on his body before he died. Boom. The Heaven Fate Stone shattered, and perfected Hainying's body expanded rapidly before exploding. Fortunately, Ninglu was prepared in time. Otherwise, the shockwave from perfected Hainying's explosion would be enough to kill him. But even so, Ninglu's current state also fell to rock bottom. I want all of you dead. Perfected withered domain's eyes widened in anger when he sensed perfected Hainying's death. Perfected withered domain knew that he was responsible for perfected Hainying's death. Unless he could obtain a large amount of origin energy, he would definitely be punished by the higher-ups of the Heaven Fate sect when he returned to the high-level realm. Your opponent is me. Ningyu appeared in front of perfected withered domain in the blink of an eye and slashed with the red demon sword. Fart. The terrifying sword radiance charged at perfected withered domain at a terrifying speed. Child's play. Daoist Master Ku Yu also waved the sacred sword in his hand and slashed out a sword light. Crack. The 2 sword lights collided, and a crisp sound rang out. Then, both of them dissipated. You do have some skills. The corners of perfected withered domain's mouth curled up slightly when he saw the sword radiance disappear. He said coldly, but this time, I can maintain my peak human immortal stage for 3 minutes, while you can only maintain it for about a minute. Let's see how you're going to fight me. Under normal circumstances, the Heaven's Fortune Stone could maintain a boost in cultivation for 10 seconds. However, both perfected withered domain and Ningyu were using the Heaven Fate Stone for the second time. To them, activating the Tianji Stone for a second time already required a price, so they could increase their cultivation by more than 10 seconds. 1 minute is enough to kill you. Ningyu brandished the red demon sword in his hand again, unleashing several sword projections. Voila! The overwhelming sword gleams seemed to have eyes of their own as they accurately shot towards Venerable Ku Yu. Kill. Facing the oncoming terrifying sword light, Daoist Master Ku Yu did not retreat. Instead, he charged forward with the holy sword. Swoosh. As perfected withered domain advanced, he swung the holy sword in his hand continuously. Almost every time he swung the sword, a sword radiance would be shot down. In an instant, perfected withered domain was in front of Ningyu. Die. Perfected withered domain threw the holy sword in his hand and stabbed it at Ningyu's heart. Perfected withered domain's sword wasn't an ordinary attack, but an attack that contained all the strength he had in his life. It could be said that perfected withered domain's sword could kill a peak human immortal stage martial artist even in a higher plane. At the critical moment, Ningyu hurriedly dodged to the side and narrowly dodged perfected withered domain's fatal attack. However, even though Ningyu had dodged the fatal attack, he still failed to dodge Perfected Withered Domain's second attack. Whoosh! The holy sword turned around and stabbed into Ningyu's chest. Fart! Fresh blood spurted out of Ningyu's mouth as his aura plummeted. Swoosh! However, the moment Ningyu was stabbed by the holy sword, Ningyu also threw the red demon sword in his hand. The red demon inside the red demon sword pushed its speed to the limit. Perfected Withered Domain was still in a daze when he controlled the red demon sword to stab his heart. Fart! Even though Perfected Withered Domain had used the holy sword to block the attack at the last moment, he still couldn't escape the tragic fate of being stabbed in the heart by the red demon sword. Perfected Withered Domain's eyes were wide open as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with disbelief. His aura was currently at the peak human immortal stage, while Ningyu was only at the late-stage human immortal stage. How could Ningyu stab his heart when there was a gap in their cultivation levels? Again, Ningyu didn't intend to give Perfected Withered Domain a chance. He shouted at the red demon. Swoosh! The red demon hid in the red demon sword and fused with it. The red demon sword swiftly moved, arriving in front of Perfected Withered Domain in an instant and slashed at his head. With his heart pierced, Perfected Withered Domain was only left with his origin spirit. There was no way he could withstand the red demon sword's powerful attack. Perfected Withered Domain's head was chopped off in an instant. The mountains will never change, and the rivers will always flow. We'll meet again in the future. Perfected Withered Domain's remaining origin spirit hurriedly tore through the void and flew into the distance. Where there's life, there's hope. At this critical moment, Perfected Withered Domain couldn't care less about the lives of others. In the face of disaster, everyone flew away. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to evacuate as soon as possible. He had to do everything possible to evacuate. But how could Ningyu allow him to retreat? Ningyu chased after him, grabbed the red demon sword, and slashed out another sword ray. Ah! Daoist Withered Domain let out a blood-curdling screech as his essence spirit was split in half by this terrifying sword beam. Then, the red demon sword left Ningyu's hand and charged at Perfected Withered Domain's origin spirit. You'll die a horrible death for offending the Heaven Secret Sec. Perfected Withered Domain yelled crazily the moment before his origin spirit was devoured. Noisy. The red demon suddenly rushed out of the red demon sword, opened his mouth, and swallowed the two halves of Perfected Withered Domain's origin spirit. Buzz. The red demon's aura soared rapidly as the origin spirit entered his stomach. The red demon's cultivation was originally at the peak of the Sage Realm, and there was a high chance that he could advance to the Perfected Sage Realm after devouring Perfected Withered Domain's origin spirit. Crack. What Ningyu and the Red Devil didn't know was that in the Thousand Demon Ridge of the Immortal Spirit region, a black shadow suddenly crushed the rock in its hand. If Ningyu and the others were here, they would definitely realize that the stone in the black shadow's hand wasn't an ordinary stone, but a Heaven Secret stone. Crushing a Heaven Secret stone casually was enough to show how terrifying the black shadow was. How dare you kill two experts of the Heaven Secret sect? No matter who you are, I'll capture you and skin you alive. Chapter 1910. In the Myriad Demon Ridge, Ningyu didn't know about the Black Shadow's reaction. At this moment, he was guarding Hong Mo's side, acting as his protector. Hong Mo had devoured two halves of Perfected Withered Domain's primordial spirit and was now trying to break through to the Saint Realm. If Hong Mo could successfully break through to the Saint Realm, his strength would improve by leaps and bounds. At the very least, he wouldn't be helpless when facing Perfected Withered Domain, completely relying on Ningyu to devour the Divine Fate Stone a second time. Drip. Drip. Time was ticking away little by little. In this area, Ningyu was guarding Hong Mo while he tried to break through to the Saint Realm. Ning Lu and Human Demon were sitting cross-legged, trying their best to recuperate. As for Mo Chenye, who was not far away, he was desperately attacking the small formation around him. Mo Chenye was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. When he saw that Perfected Withered Domain was killed, he was overjoyed because he thought that he could easily break the small formation and escape from this area. Who would have thought that even though perfected withered domain was killed, the small formation he had set up was still extremely powerful. At the very least, with his current ability, it was difficult to break it in a short time. He couldn't break the small formation, and Ning Yu and the others were recuperating. The situation was extremely unfavorable for him. I have to think of a way to get the people in the hall to come and help. Mo Qianye rolled his eyes and instantly gave up on attacking the formation. Perfected withered domain and perfected Hanying had gathered a lot of people to join forces to activate the peerless teleportation formation hidden under Square City. Both perfected withered domain and perfected Hanying had died in battle, and Ning Yu and the others were in an extremely weak state. At this time, as long as those people came to interfere, he could fish in troubled waters and leave this place completely. Mo Qianye wasn't an indecisive person. He immediately activated a secret art and didn't hesitate to burn his essence blood in order to notify everyone in the hall. Come quickly, there's a great opportunity. Mo Qianye's words were very simple. Because he knew very well that it was useless no matter how much he said. After saying this, he closed his eyes, sat cross-legged on the ground, and converged his aura into his body. Mo Qianye didn't want to see his weak side when someone came over. After all, he still needed those people to help him break the small array formation. Once those people knew that he was in a weakened state, he would definitely be in deep trouble. Voila! Mo Qianye's words caused all the cultivators in the hall to reveal astonished expressions. Among them, a peak saint martial artist said in a deep voice, "Did Mo Qianye win? I don't think so." If Mo Qianye won, he wouldn't have said that he had a great fortune. Another warrior shook his head and said, "In my opinion, Daoist Master Ku Yu and Daoist Master Han Ying have won, and Mo Qianye wants us to join hands with him to deal with Daoist Master Ku Yu and Daoist Master Han Ying." Perfected Han Ying, whoosh. This martial artist's words won everyone's approval. Comparatively speaking, they hoped that perfected withered domain and perfected Han Ying would win. Perfected Han Ying and perfected Ku Yu had said that they would bring them to the Myriad Demon Ridge to search for fortuitous opportunities. Mo Qianye was the deputy sect master of the God Transformation sect. The God Transformation sect had always been known for being overbearing. Mo Qianye would definitely not bring them along. Then what should we do now? A martial artist asked doubtfully. In my opinion, we can go and see the situation first. If perfected Ku Yu has the upper hand, we'll help him. If Mo Qianye has the upper hand, we'll help him. The martial artist who spoke just now suggested. This martial artist was called Wu Wentian. He was a typical fence-sitter. Then let's not delay. Let's go now. Most of the martial artists agreed with Wu Wentian's suggestion. Therefore, the remaining martial artists all moved and rushed to the battlefield in the void. It was obvious that these people had forgotten how terrifying Human Demon and Ning Lu were. If Hang Ji hadn't lured Human Demon and Ning Lu away, they would have been killed long ago. How could they be where they were now? Let's not talk about this for now. It didn't take long for Wu Wentian and the others to arrive at the edge of the battlefield. Where are perfected withered domain and the others? Wu Wentian stared at the battlefield in front of him and said in surprise, "Did they activate the teleportation array in advance and head to the Myriad Demon Ridge?" Wu Wentian didn't see perfected Ku Yu and perfected Han Ying in his line of sight. However, Wu Wentian didn't think that perfected Han Ying and perfected Han Ying had died in battle. At most, he thought that perfected Han Ying and perfected Han Ying had lied to them and headed to the Myriad Demon Ridge alone. A bunch of trash. Mo Qianye stood up abruptly and said coldly in Wu Wentian's ears, "Perfected Han Ying and perfected Han Ying died in my hands. Ning Yu and the others tried to sneak up on me while I was injured, but they were all seriously injured by me." Fart. Hearing Mo Qianye's words, Ning Lu couldn't help but laugh out loud. Among Ning Yu and the others, in terms of the degree of injury, the Red Fiend suffered the lightest injury. However, Hong Mo was trying his best to break through to the perfected Sage realm and had no time to argue with Mo Qianye and the others. Ning Lu was different. He wasn't seriously injured, so he laughed out loud after hearing Mo Qianye's shameless words. "What are you laughing at?" Mo Qianye stared at Ning Lu and said coldly, "You've been seriously injured by me. If you don't get treated in time, you might not live past today. You want to attack me? Ninglu couldn't be bothered with Mo Qianye. He turned to Wu Wentian and the others and said, I'm standing right here. If you want to court death, feel free to attack. Ninglu was well aware of the defensive power of the small array formation around Mo Qianye. It could be said that even Ninglu couldn't break this small array formation. Otherwise, Ninglu wouldn't be talking nonsense here. He would have attacked and killed Mo Qianye. To be honest, Ninglu was a little envious as he watched Hong Mo devour perfected Han Ying's essence spirit. When he killed perfected Han Ying detonated the Heaven Secret Stone along with his body and essence spirit. Since he couldn't devour the essence spirit, Ninglu's target was naturally Mo Qianye. However, the small array formation around Mo Qianye stopped him. Helpless, Ninglu could only change his target to Wu Wentian and the others. Wu Wentian hesitated when he saw how confident Ninglu was. He could tell that Ninglu was at the Great Perfection Saint realm, just like him. However, Ninglu was different from his perfected sage realm. Ninglu's strength was much higher than his. He was definitely no match for Ninglu in a one-on-one battle. What do you guys think? Wu Wentian rolled his eyes and asked the few martial artists beside him. We don't have any opinion. The other martial artists hurriedly distanced themselves from Wu Wentian. At this moment, no matter how stupid they were, they could tell that things weren't as Mo Qianye said. Chapter 1911. You're all fence-sitters. Wu Wentian trembled with anger and said fiercely. But soon, Wu Wentian's tone changed and he said to Ninglu, I came here mainly to settle accounts with Mo Qianye. Before you came, Mo Qianye attacked me and broke one of my front teeth. I want to get revenge on him now. Swoosh. Wu Wentian's words made everyone's mouths open slightly, and their faces were full of confusion. They had seen shameless people, but they had never seen such a shameless person. You change your face faster than you change your breathing. A second ago, he was standing on the opposite side of Ninglu, and the next second, he immediately compromised. Very well, I'll stand here and see how you kill Mo Qianye. Ninglu had seen many fence-sitters like this. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared at Wu Wentian with interest. As long as you can kill Mo Qianye, I'm willing to accept you as my follower. Mo Qianye's face became a little ugly. He was just talking big. He definitely wouldn't dare to kill Mo Qianye. As the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Even if Mo Qianye was in a weakened state at this time, he still wouldn't dare to go forward. However, Wu Wentian didn't dare to offend Ninglu either. With a thought, he waved his hands repeatedly and pushed away the two martial artists beside him. Wu Wentian, you'll die a horrible death. The martial artist pushed away by Wu Wentian was at the late stage of the Saint realm. They were standing closer to Wu Wentian, so they suffered an unexpected disaster. Wu Wentian didn't care how these two martial artists scolded him. What he was concerned about now was whether Mo Qianye still had terrifying strength. It couldn't be better to use two late-stage Saint realm martial artists to test him. Although Wu Wentian was a fence-sitter, his strength wasn't weak. No matter how hard the two late-stage Saint realm martial artists struggled, they couldn't escape the fate of flying toward Mo Qianye. Almost in an instant, they came to Mo Qianye's side. However, when their bodies touched the small formation around Mo Qianye, they made a sizzling sound on the spot and quickly turned into nothingness. Hiss. The sudden change caused Wu Wentian and the others to gasp. Mo Qianye had killed two late-stage sage experts in an instant, and it seemed that he hadn't done anything yet. With a single thought, Wu Wentian hastily rushed toward Mo Qianye. Has Wu Wentian lost his mind? He's still opposing Mo Qianye at this time. Let's not care about him. We should take care of ourselves. That's right. Stay away from Wu Wentian lest he betrays you. Seeing Wu Wentian rushing towards Mo Qianye, the surrounding martial artists discussed spiritedly. As soon as these cultivators finished their discussion, they opened their mouths again with dumbfounded expressions. Wu Wentian suddenly stopped a few meters away from Mo Qianye and said, Sect Master Mo, I've decided to forsake darkness and join you in dealing with these people. Wu Wentian spoke with a strong sense of righteousness as he wept bitterly like a person who had lost his footing. Mother *Kur, this is too shameless. Wu Wentian's actions made everyone sad. Wu Wentian could no longer be considered a fence-sitter. It was best to describe him as a weakling. Fine, go and kill Ningyu for me. Mo Qianye didn't pursue Wu Wentian's previous mistakes. He pointed at Ningyu and said in a deep voice, as long as you can kill Ningyu, I'll forgive what you did just now. Sect Master Mo, I'm only at the peak of the Sage Realm. Isn't it inappropriate for me to kill Ningyu? Wu Wentian hesitated. Mo Qianye didn't answer. Instead, he frowned slightly and his expression became a little unsightly. I'll do it. I'll definitely kill Ningyu. Mo Qianye's expression caused Wu Wentian's heart to tremble. He hurriedly patted his chest and said, I can kill trash like Ningyu in one move. As soon as the word kill fell, an afterimage suddenly rushed out of Wu Wentian's body and rushed towards Ningyu at high speed. A clone! Everyone exclaimed when they saw the afterimage that dashed out of Wu Wentian's body. Although Wu Wentian was a strong opponent, they had to admit that he was indeed very strong. Moreover, his cultivation was at the peak of the Sage Realm. He was only one step away from the peak of the Sage Realm. Rumor had it that Wu Wentian's cultivation was at the peak of the human immortal realm. This time, Wu Wentian had descended to the immortal spirit realm to search for the origin energy. He wanted to use the origin energy to break through to the earth immortal realm. You're courting death. Ninglu leaped and landed in front of Ningyu. Clenching his right fist, Ninglu threw a punch at Wu Wentian's clone. Crack! The moment Ninglu's fist came into contact with Wu Wentian's clone, it was blasted into two halves and shattered on the spot. Fart! Wu Wentian spat out a mouthful of blood after the clone was blasted into two. His aura dropped rapidly. Anyone who dares to harm Ningyu is going against me. Ninglu took a step forward and released a terrifying aura as he said coldly. Ninglu was the Tree of World. He was recovering at every moment. Although he still had some injuries, he could already use 80% of his peak strength. Wu Wentian might not be able to do anything to Ninglu even if he attacked himself, let alone a clone that only had 30% of his strength. Stop pretending. I know you're not injured. Mo Qianye stared at Wu Wentian. If you don't use your full strength, don't blame me for. Mo Qianye's expression changed drastically before he could finish his sentence. As the vice-sect leader of a high-level transformed god sect and someone who had hidden in the immortal spirit realm for a long time, Mo Qianye already had a deep understanding of the plane barrier of the immortal spirit realm. He could clearly feel that the plane barrier of the immortal spirit realm was loosening. Although he didn't know why the plane barrier was loosening, Mo Qianye knew that in about half an hour, the plane barrier's suppression on him would weaken by more than half. At that time, even if he couldn't use the strength of a mid-stage Earth Immortal, it wouldn't be a problem for him to use the strength of an early-stage Earth Immortal. Mo Qianye was confident. When he recovered his strength of an early-stage Earth Immortal, he would only need to move a finger to break the small formation left by Spiritual Master Ku Yu. You don't need to kill Ningyu. You just need to stay by my side. Mo Qianye corrected himself. You really don't want to kill Ningyu? Wu Wentian said excitedly. Although he didn't know why Mo Qianye was doing this, Wu Wentian was very excited as long as he didn't attack. After all, with his strength, even if he fought Ninglu with all his strength, he might not win. Now that Mo Qianye said that he just needed to stay by his side, how could he not be excited? Oh no, someone from a high-level plane is destroying the plane barrier. In this area, Mo Qianye wasn't the only one who could feel that the plane barrier was about to weaken. Human Demon. Human Demon came from a high-level plane, and his cultivation was even higher than Mo Qianye's. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.